Lincoln County Board of County Commissioners for August 5th, 2019. If you'd join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Sure. Looks like we have a bill that is still being made out to Mid-America from Professional Fire Equipment, which would be maintenance parts for the, I guess it would be the sprinkler system. It's saying this was due last year, Dawn, so we can't pay that, huh?
Well, we'll have to pay it out of the current year budget.
What is it?
Did we just bypass this, or it's, because I don't remember seeing this invoice in particular. They didn't even send it to us. It's billed to Mid-America, who was there before Lincoln Park Manor, which is now a decade ago.
Back in May.
And it's apparently for the sprinkler system maintenance and at Lincoln Park Manor. Here's another Lincoln Park Manor bill from Arjo. Floor lift pieces. Is that new, or a scale for $525 and another scale, something maxi move for $729?
I think their maintenance agreements, but
From Arjo?
if we read it right, I think it says it in like really
One of the other books. So you're working on the tax to get the tax off of the bill?
Yeah.
It's the wrong tax rate anyway.
And then street plumbing, replace the sump pump in the elevator shaft, $738.47. That looks like it for the bills, and then this medical transport solutions. Dawn, do you know where this came from, or membership?
He's the same guy that sells the legal shield, and I guess apparently he took a helicopter ride that wasn't probably covered by insurance, so he liked to offer that to employees.
Medical transport solutions. So, are you saying like we mail this out in their paychecks as an advertisement for them, or?
He would like you guys to allow them to encourage the employees to offer it as a benefit.
Can we just do that during the Columbus Day
Yes.
employee?
What
So
is
every
this?
year
What
in
is this?
October well, this is a particular company that offers medical transport insurance, which would be life flight and maybe even ambulance, I'm guessing, if you didn't have coverage for something like that. Or maybe it's supplemental coverage.
Would the county, the county would pay? Or the
It
employee
would
pay?
be an option for the
The
employees to
employee,
have a
okay.
supplemental insurance like they have Aflac or something like that.
Okay.
So in years past, every October, we've done an in-house, like an in-service day on Columbus Day and gone over insurance benefits and allowed third parties to come in and set up kind of like a vendor booth. I'm not opposed to that. I mean, it gives them options.
Well, if the employees want it, it doesn't cost us anything, does it?
No, not unless we chose it to. And then this would be the web disbursements from the web fund meeting, and I did attend this meeting. We had several applications, but I believe we only approved one. So it's to the city of Sylvan Grove for $5,000. They are getting the electronic speed signs that it monitors your speed as you go past, and then it flashes the miles per hour for the driver to see. So we need a motion to approve the Web Fund Committee's grant.
They approved, the web fund approved this for the Sylvan.
Yes, I believe there were 3 applications and 2 were turned down, and that one was accepted. And then that leaves, if my memory serves me correct, like maybe $12,000 to distribute for the rest of the year out of the web fund, because there will be one more quarterly meeting. I guess technically there could be two, but. Do we have any disputes for the bills from Lincoln Park Manor? If not, I'll sign off on them.
I don't. Do you have me okay with them? Too?
I don't understand, I've never seen it.
Yeah.
Well,
So the ones that's lift,
we have to do, yeah, this is the,
it's the elevator lift contract for maintenance agreements, right?
well, it says the contract is from August 1st, 2019 through July 31st, 2020, which is interesting because if they're contracted with us, I never saw a contract. And it's still through Mid-America. Maybe we just need to call them. I'll call them. May I do that before we
Yeah.
approve it?
Well, but a lot of them don't change the name of the billing, you know, even if it changed companies to
I know, but that's
to
been
Grace,
10 years.
they just keep billing. But yeah, I know, you're right. You're right.
And I
it
would
should
like
be
to ask
changed.
them if they're saying that we're starting a new contract. The billing period is from 8/1/2019 to 7/31/2020. So it looks like this is the
Well, somebody
contract.
signed off on it.
Is it an automatic rollover or?
Possibly.
Well,
Probably an automatic renewal, yeah.
And then this one is street plumbing, which they did the sump pump thing. I
Yeah,
don't have a
that's
problem
all
with
right.
that.
Well, that's
and
fine.
then
That
this,
fire thing,
you want me to call?
Is that a contract thing? If they've had a contract all these years, they're supposed to come and inspect or what?
well, see, this is like a 2019 fuse link, a system service for $55. The fuse was $10. A demo, which I assume is like the pressure test, would be
They probably
$100.
test it,
something. I can't read that writing.
yeah. Interlock or interloop.
Do you know what? Yeah, I know.
I don't know what that is.
And then 5 pounds something maintenance parts, $105. I don't know. The total is $431.61.
But that's 60 days old.
That is last year, May 20th.
Well,
No.
to the next page.
That's this year.
How old
That's a
it is.
19.
Down at the bottom.
Year 19 right there. We just got the bill
Down
there.
Okay.
at the bottom. They're charging finance charge and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, and we've never. Dawn, is this the first we've received this since May? So yeah, why are they charging finance? I will.
That's a phone
I'll call
call,
these
I
this
think.
afternoon
Okay,
before we
we can prove the street.
continue. And then, are we going to just give verbal approval that this company can? Dawn, if you'd like to notify. Let's see. where's
That
his
master.
card?
I think his card is in the front.
Yeah, Larry Farrenbrook, Farrenbruch, something.
I wonder what that would cost an employee, any guess? For a premium, probably
Well, they're pretty high, because the airplane flies pretty high, and insurance has to cover that eventually.
not. Well, yeah, if you get a light flight, a helicopter, what's like $20,000?
Yeah.
For your little line.
You know, if you buy an insurance policy for $20,000, then
Probably.
some money.
Yeah,
Okay,
this is the web thing.
I would entertain a motion to approve the web fund grant for $5,000 to Sylvan Grove.
I'll make a motion to approve the web fund grant to Sylvan Grove, City of Sylvan Grove for the,
If
whatever,
there's speed,
the speed
sensors.
light.
traffic speed sensors.
Traffic speed light.
I'll second. It's been moved and seconded to approve the web disbursement of $5,000 to the City of Sylvan Grove. Are there any further questions? If not, those in favor vote aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
When they publicize that, as I'm sure they will, they should put a note in there that this is not a competition. You will find that with those things, the local young drivers will see how fast they can make that.
I think the idea is to try to promote the opposite, but
Well, but it doesn't, and that's, we should make that known, that that's gonna be
well, what the grant said is that there are a lot of, especially like semis that come through there because it's a state route. And I've been on Main Street for the past year and a half, and it's nerve-wracking sometimes with kids and everything. So hopefully it works for its purpose. Okay, and our last piece of correspondence, August 1st, 2019, which would have been last Thursday, to the Board of County Commissioners and the County Clerk, to whom it may concern. This letter shall serve as my resignation from the Lincoln County Highway Department and my position with Lincoln County. My last day will be on August 15th, 2019. Thank you for the opportunity to serve the citizens of Lincoln County for so many years. Sincerely, Michael O'Hare. So, Did you receive any of these personally, or this was just to the?
Well, I never saw that before.
I'm just gonna leave this with you then, Dawn, so that you can have the original. And
What date? What was the
August
date?
15th is what it said, so that would be next Thursday. Not this Thursday, but next Thursday. And has he been back to work yet? He is back to work.
Well, I saw him over there the other day.
Okay.
He's back in town.
He wasn't here last Monday, though.
No, Liz
was.
was here. This is approved too. And I guess we need to do the minutes.
I've got another piece of correspondence.
Okay.
I'll pass it out, but we won't need to talk about it till after lunch. That came to me in an email on the 1st of August.
Yeah, we can talk about that later.
May I read it? I'll just
You
read it
have
out loud
that.
under
I gave
correspondence.
you one. Oh,
Oh.
I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay, you didn't know.
Sorry.
We can-
August 1st, 2019, dear Lincoln County Commissioners, our lease on the nursing home building will be ending at noon on May 23rd, 2020, which is 9 months from now. We are writing to request some direction on how you'd like to proceed. In the past, commissioners have expressed a desire to find a new entity to own and operate the facility. If you would like to proceed this way, please know the completion of the various documents and filings to process a change of ownership and for a new owner to receive payments from the state and federal government takes a lot of time. We need to begin the process very soon. Our number one focus is on providing high-quality care and services to our residents and ensure a smooth transition. I look forward to hearing from you soon. Sincerely yours, John Grace. And minutes from July 29th and July 31st.
I've looked them over, really. Find no problem with them. Have you, Alexis?
No, I
Go.
think.
Go ahead, I mean, have you looked them over?
Yeah, I did look
I'll
at them
make
in
a
my
motion
email.
then to approve the July 29th, 2019 meeting, or minutes.
I'll second that.
Has been moved and seconded. Any further questions? Those in favor vote aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
And I'll move to approve the minutes of the 31st of July meeting.
And I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further questions? Those in favor vote aye.
Aye.
Abstain? Motion carries. I do have a question. Mr. Sturts, he apparently came in and asked about having an executive session. What did you tell him, or what was the discussion?
We didn't say anything really. to
Okay.
him. He was, I think last week you were out of town. We
I
called
was
back,
over the phone.
And he was saying going to executive session with someone on the phone is illegal.
Did he find you a state statute?
No,
Okay.
but I heard that. That's what they said.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Do you know?
I do know. It's
Yeah,
there's
Well, they're afraid that somebody else could be listening on your end of the line to your discussion with us in an executive session. That's the concern.
Which-
And I know we don't. I know that we didn't have that concern at all with you.
I know
But
you're not
that's the
accusing-
general concern, right?
right, and
Yeah.
I understand that. However, there is no actual law, so he can't necessarily.
Well,
I mean,
where-
he questioned it, but he can't necessarily say
Well, I
it's
wonder
illegal.
where they get that idea then from.
Well, I mean, it's not something I would choose to do all the time, for sure.
No,
But
but-
I will let you guys know that as we've been talking about the nursing home and this multiple $1 million business that's in our county, we've gone into executive session over the phone with the attorney many times.
Yeah, that's true.
And actually, if you read some of the attorney general opinions, an executive session, you're not sharing that in the open meeting, but you have no legal obligation to keep that information to yourself. Now, if it's attorney-client privilege, then you can actually be sued for sharing that information. So if someone came in with their attorney, and we had our attorney, and we met at the table and we had an executive session, you're legally bound to hold that material to yourself. The material, the conversation, etc., if it's with an attorney. If you're having an executive session with a body, and you want to explain to someone else what happened in the executive session, that's not illegal. And I would challenge you to look up the
Well,
attorney
I'm
general.
not arguing with
I
you.
know.
I don't know.
Just for clarification for
Yeah, no,
everyone's
Mr.
sake.
Sturts,
I mean,
Mr. Sturts just saw us in here, and that was Wednesday with just Jim and
I understand the
Jim and I
concern.
and Don, and we were just doing the, that's why we were here Wednesday, by the way, for all you didn't know, we were just doing the payroll, end of the month payroll. But anyway, okay, no, that was all he had.
I understand.
Yeah.
So it looks like we don't have the county attorney on the agenda, but you had requested the county attorney. So how are we going to go about that?
I requested a time of her, but I'm thinking that she just didn't have time.
Today.
Yeah.
So do we want to do some sort of special meeting, or how do we want to handle this? Because,
For what?
well, it says that you,
Well, the only
Mr.
reason,
Logan
the
requested-
only reason that was for was because for the lake issue, remember?
right, but I
Yeah.
mean, there are several questions we have unanswered from the county attorney. I've asked months ago for an explanation of the public mill levy vote, and I think we need some clarification because it appears as if potentially any public vote is for a certain amount of mills is at the discretion of the board. So even though it says, may the county levy 2 mills for economic development, that doesn't mean we have to. So no matter what, even if it's for the hospital or the economic development or the senior services, which is what I specifically inquired about, we don't necessarily have to give the exact amount that is requested when the
Well-
public approved it.
Well, you did that last year with the Lincoln Council on Aging. You guys only had, 75,000, and you could have went up to 2 mills,
Right.
correct? So that could have went up to 100,000 or more.
But we were having a discussion, remember, about the economic development mill levy and how it's worded on the ballot, and I really think the wording doesn't matter. It's at the discretion of the board to invoke its right to
Oh, yeah.
levy
Now,
that.
the actual legal entity end of that, yeah, that's a good.
In other words, whatever the dollar amount was that economic development had last year, and whatever the dollar amount was that the hospital had last year, we could easily just use that same dollar amount, and it's not going to necessarily equal the 10 mil or the 2 mil because the valuation went up.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, we should have her clarify that.
So there are several questions for the county attorney that I think.
And then also with the, we were talking about the engineers, right? Wasn't she gonna check
Well,
in on?
so that was for the plat, like doing a new mapping, but we had already hired Schwab and Eaton for the actual landslide issue. So
Well,
I was
just for
hoping that the highway department would bring that to us.
Well, what did we want Jennifer for?
She
About a
was-
month ago, we asked her for
She
something.
was going to create a bid to go out so that surveying companies and or engineers would create a brand new map of that entire section.
Oh, okay.
So,
I'm on the agenda too.
oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. Because I'm sure this conversation could go on forever.
Yep,
Yeah.
thank you.
Okay, so I spoke with them a little bit about HR on Wednesday or payroll. I just can't physically continue to do 2 people's jobs. I'm not doing any job well. So they told me to bring the job description, kind of bring my proposal. So I invited Tammy down because my proposal kind of encompasses her a little bit and maybe others. I don't know how everybody feels about this, but this is the job description as it is right now. And I don't know if it would be better to just kind of sit down now and go through the job description, knowing that we have hired the benefits management company, and kind of X out. I can do that on my own if you'd rather me. I didn't have time
I
last
think we
week.
can easily just do that quickly.
Okay. But my proposal was going to be, number one, I don't think we're ever going to be able to hire an actual qualified HR person for the salary that we're offering.
Not full-time now, since we don't need them to do the actual benefits management, which we still need to decide how we're gonna pay that.
Correct. And so I was thinking in the back of my mind, and I did visit with Tammy a little bit, because she needs somebody that can actually come in and help her when she is off.
Somebody that can come in and do the work.
What you do.
I don't have that. I haven't had that
Right.
first.
Which is,
4 years.
right, and if you weren't to run or get elected again, then we really don't have any succession planning for your office to have any knowledge in there.
No.
So what I was thinking in the back of my mind is, what if we hired, similar to what Deborah was, where she's a part-time employee, part-time human resources. You would probably have to kind of realize that you're going to get somebody that's brand new, that's never, maybe just a degree seeker that just got out of college and needs that first-time job and training.
On-the-job training.
Yes, and then we have a rover, where in the other part of their times, because I kind of feel like with the benefit management company, it's not a full-time job.
But this is going to be separate from your part-time help in your office, is what you're saying.
Yes, or I could possibly utilize them as well, especially like during election time or when this person gets done with her schooling and she's ready to move on. But I wondered if we hired somebody that we said outright, we think the HR position is going to be 20 to 30 hours a week. 10 hours a week, we want you to kind of roam, whether that's in Tammy's office today, in my office another day, maybe down at the highway department another week or something like that. Somebody that could actually
it's
get
professional clerical and cross-training is what we're going for.
Yes, and they could actually, work in the departments and start to have an idea of what the departments do. Because I think that's important for an HR person to really understand what are the employees doing.
Yeah. What each department does.
Not necessarily do everything, but just kind of interact with the departments.
And understand their purview, what their jobs are, so they coordinate with it.
I have not talked to any other departments, so, by all means, you'd have to kind of visit with people and see what are their needs, but I feel like there's a need, and I guess I've always been open to helping other departments if I need to, and that's probably why I'm in the pickle that I am, because I tend to be doing a lot of that and not a lot of my own job. I prioritize them first, because I feel like when they're walking in the door and asking me for help, I want to help them. But I don't know if this would even work, or even if you guys would at all be interested in it. But
Well, I like this idea better than it's been proposed and other counties have done the county administrator. But that puts a position above the other offices, whereas this is a position below the other offices. And I think that's more appropriate because the board ultimately needs to be responsible, not hire, basically a county administrator is like the board hiring an assistant for itself. Mm-hmm. If you're doing our clerical work and every other department is responsible for itself, then I don't see why that wouldn't work to have someone.
Well, and technically...
Are you talking like filing and...
So like for Tammy, she needs somebody that when she does take a vacation, like no offense, she hasn't really taken a vacation. This time she did a week, and she came back to an entire...
Basically a month's worth of work in a week that came in.
Yeah, so someone needs to be there.
Somebody that
But I
can
thought
come in.
that's why we had Mrs. Heater coming over.
All she does is write the information down on my reception record.
Why is
That's
she
it.
incapable of performing any of that function
She
when she's
does
been
not
here?
want to do it. It's plain and simple. She came down for one day of training, and I've never seen her back in there. She does not want to come down.
Now, in past history, Tammy used to work in the clerk's office when I worked in the clerk's office. And so Doris would let her go
You do
one
work
day a
with
week.
Doris.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Doris would let her go one day a week to work in Dolan's office.
Who was that?
And
He was my predecessor.
Okay, so you were cross-trained then.
Right.
When that
And
makes
so
a
then
lot
when
of
he was
sense.
gone for a week,
Yeah.
I was down there the 40 hours that week
Yeah.
to run
Yeah.
the office, do all the recording and everything
Yeah,
that came
then nothing
in.
gets behind.
Right.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. So,
I just don't know if this would work. And I know that sometimes I feel like I'm inadequate helping you guys because technically my only responsibility is supposed to record your guys' minutes and be the recorder. So I didn't know too if maybe that person could help do some of the... I don't mind
the
writing
phone
letters.
calls and the follow-ups. And
Yes,
right.
things
right.
that I'm
Right.
like
Takes up
forgetting
time,
about.
especially when we have an all-day meeting on Monday. Then your Monday's gone in your office, and
So I don't know, and I don't even know if that's a good idea or a bad idea, but I just feel like at this point in time that everything is completely dumped on my office, and although I enjoy doing things, I just find that I'm not doing an adequate job.
well, you can't be that organized.
Well, you're
so-
overloaded. You don't want to burn yourself out. That's what you're doing there. But, yeah, no,
Okay, so we want this person to do payroll. Is that the idea? Or
I think so. I think
so
that they
the
can actually...
assistant in your office for however many hours a week is not going to perform any functions. We kind of clarified that, but you're saying indefinitely. Just separate that. You're not looking to share that employee with this position or anything. like that.
I would be willing to have them come in and help in our office.
Is the person that you hired I mean, is this like was there a time limit on this? That they said they only want to do this for the end of the year or something like that?
They are, she's going to
Brittany?
beauty school. Brittany is her
Okay.
name. She's going to beauty school, or they call it cosmetology
Cosmetology.
school, sorry. And so she has Mondays off, and she has Thursday mornings off, so she'll be
Okay, so
helping
there's a
me.
specific time.
Yes.
This is Brittany.
And then
talking
when
about
she gets
Neil,
done
or-
and can get licensed,
Brittany Hill.
Heal.
she's gonna, move on, and that's what her job is gonna be. And that's why I thought this would be a good fit, and then that would give us time to figure out the HR type.
Sure.
And it could be that if I can, kind of limit it to a certain amount of time, then maybe if we did hire somebody, and on the weeks that there's gonna be downtime,
My only issue with this is if we're going to have someone called human resources that has their own responsibility to the employees, which is the position that we don't have. Now we have the benefits managed. We know what we're going to do with payroll, kind of. But if this person is going to be responsible to the employees, they kind of need their own autonomy. So I guess you would just have to be requesting their time. You'd have to let them know ahead of time, I'm going to be out of the office, like, say the first 6 months is all training. They come to your office one day, they come to your office one day. The treasurer has extra help. The highway department, like you said, they could go there one day and get all this training in, the cross training. But then I think ultimately they need to be requested ahead of time to come and fill in.
For the most part, I know right now the plans are July 3rd of next year through the 20th. Bailey wants to be gone for 2 solid weeks. I can't come back to 2 weeks
of
of
nothing
work.
happening, right?
Well, and I don't, in my office, it's kind of like the treasurer's office. Treasurer's office, they know their busy time. I don't know my busy time because it's all real estate dependent as to when something sells and when they close. So I cannot predict that I'm going to be busy today and not tomorrow.
If 6 things happen in 1 week and nothing the next
Right.
week, but you're not here. Yeah, I get it.
And so, for the most part, I know when I'm going to be gone. And so I could, schedule that.
So are you requesting just a part-time HR person or a full-time person, full-time hire, but part-time HR and part-time his other job, so a full-time employee? And but the HR would have to be their primary job because, like, if something happened, HR, like an employee has an issue with somebody, so that's got to be their top priority. And and then if they have extra time to help you and whatever, that has to be pointed out then.
and if you're gonna revise job descriptions every year, it probably would make sense for them to divide them up and do a couple a month or something like that. So, there's some things that you can spread their work out rather than having, 300 hours and
But ultimately,
a 3-month period.
the people in the positions can be coming to us with their own revisions for approval. It doesn't always have to fall back on one particular person. Right now it does because it hasn't been done, ever. So it's like starting from, last year we kind of started the process. But my only reservation about this particular setup is that, like I said, the human resources position, if they're going to be dealing with the employees, needs to be autonomous and kind of have control of their own situation. Yet we're also asking them to be an office assistant.
I think they
So-
can do both, don't you?
Someone could, but that's
Well,
going to be a
Well, I think,
particular.
they got to know, separate 2 hats. A hat for HR, like if they got personnel issues, which is
But that's not gonna be every day.
proprietary information over here. But when Don asks them to do something, that's totally different work. And the same way Tammy. So I can see it work, but because I don't think we have enough work full time for an HR person full time, do we?
No, I agree.
Unless we
Especially
give-
not with benefits.
Not with
I-
benefits being
I-
farmed out.
correct. I don't believe so. Just
Now we could start with. We
I
could,
think there could be. If you had a really good self-starter and
Yeah.
you had somebody who wanted to do employment training and, knock out departments, you could have that. It's just a matter of who's going to train this person and
Well,
how
we're
far
not-
do you want to
we
go,
haven't
and do you
offered
want
enough
to pay,
money to get someone who's already professional and experienced.
and do you
And-
want to pay a large amount for them to organize
well,
training?
we could start out this way where it's part-time for them and then part-time helping you. And then as the time goes on, they may say, hey, I need more time to do HR, and then they could do more of that. We'll just have, we can always, you're gonna adjust as the time goes on,
My only reservation, I said that once. My second reservations would be that now we're creating a full-time position, that we're replacing a full-time position, but we added a half-time position in her office, plus the cost of the benefits management company. So we're ultimately spending more money Not that it may not be worth it, because I believe if we get someone to organize the training, like you said, I mean, there's a lot of training that hasn't gone on. And
Well,
there's a lot of extra training in other departments that isn't necessarily necessary,
But
so.
I think Don's temporary employee is gonna be temporary, right? No,
Yes.
Not for next
But are you
10
gonna
years.
do that seasonally, or are you thinking once
Well-
that person goes, you'll still open the position?
I think it depends on what you guys decide and how much is taken off of my plate.
Yeah, well, if you get HR
When the
person,
If you don't have payroll at all, you may feel like once you get caught up, you're not gonna need.
I may feel like I don't need anything.
right, and then
To
you
be
would,
honest with you, but I don't know what that's going
right.
to feel like.
But for
because-
now, we could do the Brittany thing, but if the HR person takes it over, you wouldn't need Brittany later. And then that would be less expense, see. Up front, we may pay a little more, but in a year from now, probably
So
not.
then ultimately, as long as your budget covers your seasonal help, we can go back to having the HR budget not, I was thinking of reducing the budget to the HR by the amount that we have to pay for the benefits management company, because ultimately that's an HR responsibility. But really, we could take that out of employee benefits. Hopefully, we're gonna save that much,
Hopefully
if
we'll
not
save that
more.
much with PIC and compared to the state.
Right.
That's the whole
So then
idea
we're
we did
back
this.
to having a full budget for
Yeah.
HR is basically what we're talking about.
And what-
We're talking about doing the same budget this year for HR as we did last year, and realigning this.
That's kind of what I had
One thing,
proposed.
I know we dealt with PIC, and this is off topic a little bit, we really still don't know what their commission will be, or how much a month, do we?
Well, it's going to be built into the premium that you pay. So
But it
let's
was
say the health
1,500 a
insurance
month,
is
just a flat fee first.
Right.
And then another commission.
So we're gonna have to
You're
have.
But we
not
don't
gonna
know what
pay-
that is.
You are not going to pay that though. The insurance company is going to pay them.
Oh.
They're not
The
going to.
1500.
Oh, okay, we don't pay that,
No,
okay.
we'll pay the 1,500.
Right.
But the commission,
Right.
the
Whatever
insurance company
the
pays them.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that.
whatever
Okay.
the plan price
It says
is,
there.
then they add on the
Oh,
percentage.
okay, I missed it.
But I was saying what you're talking about, the $1,500 fee.
Yeah.
I was saying, well, that should come out of the HR budget because we're basically paying someone to do what we would be paying the HR person to do, which is a lot of that budget.
That's $18,000 a year.
I know, but we
That doesn't
put-
leave
but
much
we
for
put aside-
HR.
Well, as a part-time position, it did. But now we're talking about leaving the HR budget alone. That 18,000 would have to come out of our benefits budget, that line item. So we're basically, we can subdivide that budget and say goes to premiums and this goes to the management company.
Yeah, because you could take the 1 point whatever million you're doing right now,
Yeah.
and you could subtract out that dollar amount and just build it in, and then you hope that the other dollar amount comes
Yeah,
in under.
yeah, hopefully
Right.
that's the idea of all
Right.
this. Anyway,
and,
but
and
that,
I'm not saying that this is the best idea. It's just something I was thinking about. It's something you guys can think about for a week or so.
you sure.
But I just feel like I'm drowning, and I feel like all I am doing is putting out fires, but I'm doing absolutely nothing to prevent them. And I don't like being that type of a person. I am normally a very organized person, and I feel like I've been in chaos for the past year. And so at some point in time, I have to either admit or figure out something that works. But me being up here till 9 o'clock at night every night is not working.
And the
being up here
weekends.
every weekend
Yeah.
is not working
No,
either.
I think we all agree on that. We want to help
Um,
you. We want to help you here. So should we, I don't know, this is what we had originally. I would be for you putting an ad in the paper to get you an HR person and advertising as full-time. But when we interview people, specify that
They're going to have
you're gonna have to help you and
cross-training.
help you and all this cross-train stuff too. Maybe
So
we
I
should,
think the ad needs to say human resource officer and clerical assistant.
something like that, yeah. Or do we want to make a motion to put an ad in the paper, or are we there yet?
Do you want to think? Why don't you think about it
Yeah,
for a
let's
week?
wait
Okay.
because
Maybe you'll have other ideas.
the issue is going to be what we ran into last time. If this person is not already trained on capers, DOT, non-DOT, FTA, drug and alcohol test, if they're not already trained on that, then we have another lieu in time where there's
They
going to have
gotta
to
learn
be
it.
training, plus the training for, I mean, that's a lot to throw on someone because I think we experienced that last time is,
Well, you know, like with my office, I wouldn't necessarily need them all, 1 day a week or whatever. I could say, today I got 12 documents in. Hey, would you mind coming over when you have time and help me with these, and we will go through them.
yeah, you'll have something to physically do with them.
Right.
Show
And,
them.
and then they can learn your system.
Right.
And then when you get vacation for a week or two, they could fill in for that week or two.
Right.
Yeah. That would be a part-time, yeah,
But
just
we
to help
need to
out
be more
part-time.
specific this time on a time frame, because last time, it said in the handbook, or it said in the job description, be able to perform the functions within like 6 months or something. But 3 months in, we hadn't given a timetable as far as you should know payroll within 3 months. You should be able to do benefits management within another 3, we kind of just threw that up in the air and thought that we were getting someone who was pre-trained in the areas in which we need. If we need that, then we're gonna have to pay for it, and our budget's not going to allow that.
No, yeah, more experienced
So
person
really,
we can't
we need
afford.
that person to come in, and we need to send them to training for 6 weeks. They need to do. I had messaged you a couple of those HR companies that do HR training specifically. So that's what we need to do: is assign them tasks for the first 6 weeks of training. We're basically paying to train.
Well, I think Dawn's doing it now. You could coach him to do what we want. Well, she's doing it now, knows what we need, Mona.
Not on everything.
Yeah, but
I'm basically doing payroll right now and running ads. I can help them with that aspect of it.
well, who does
Otherwise,
FMLA now if somebody has an issue? You do, don't you?
It's me, yes.
Well,
Right,
then
but
you
she's
do it.
having. But the reason why it takes so long, she's having to make 16 phone calls to figure out exactly what to do.
I know.
Check with each department head. Go back double. I mean, everything's like a double.
Yeah, I'm
checks
not
and
against,
balances.
I don't wanna
I'm
do
not
anything
against
that I'm not
6-week
double
training
checking
to
myself.
learn all this stuff. I'm not against it, but we're gonna have to hire somebody, like you said, an entry-level person. That's what we afford. We can't afford a $80,000 job. We interviewed them. and
So
they
then
get
we
trained.
need to put in the ad on the job training available. Outside training available, paid, or however we need to word that. That person needs to be willing to come in and get all the information they need within the first 2 months. It's going to take 8 weeks to get. I mean, they have crash courses on all these things.
Do they?
Through
Can you send them to training to do
Some
all
of them are
that?
online. There are a couple different companies that are good.
Well, and Fulton Steve can offer some HR training, and I
Okay.
think it's like 3 times a year, and they actually do a very good job. I've been to that before. It's just been a very long time ago, and laws change, and I just don't feel that I have kept up on that because I just relied on somebody else
Well,
to
you're
do
really
it.
not the HR person for us.
No.
You shouldn't be. I mean,
It's important to kind of understand them, but it's not my purview to understand them completely. And so I would feel like if we got them to some training and just know, I mean, it's just kind of throwing it out there that
Well, understanding and executing are two different things. You don't need to be responsible for the execution anymore. Understanding the process, you can help or you can look something up for someone, but having to do the research every time an issue comes up is different than knowing what's going on and then just performing the execution of the task.
you're going to have to help them. Even though they're going to be training, you're still going to have to show them what we do here in the county, what you do. For our system, every business or every system's different. So we have our system here that you're doing now, so you'll have to help them with that initially. Hopefully then they can get weaned away and you won't have to.
well, and as they gain their knowledge and understand their skill, then they can implement other programs. And then if this doesn't work out, then they can go to a different plan as their position becomes more full-time HR and less time being able to help someplace else. Because eventually that's what you want. I feel like that's what you would want, is to have somebody that can set up training programs that can help us reduce our work comp claims, that can help us reduce some of our liability claims that we have. And
And I think training is such a crucial thing that we've really kind of let go by the wayside. We've relied on department heads to do it, but when you have a turnover or when you have someone who's not progressive in that area, then it never happens. That HR person can make sure it happens. And they're actually responsible directly to the commission, so they can provide us a schedule of what's supposed to be happening and let us know if it's not happening. Otherwise, we don't know.
well, why don't you guys take this job description and kind of review it over the next week if you could. I will mark out the things that I know that the benefit management company is going to help. Now, mind you, they're going to have a resource on or in the county that helps them do their job to make them successful. So just because they're managing benefits doesn't mean this person isn't going to have anything
Well,
to
they're going
do
to have
with
to
it.
coordinate with
doesn't-
them, sure.
Yeah.
PIG doesn't handle any supplemental plans, correct?
They will help us narrow down. So like the gentleman that left the folder today. Basically what they're going to help you do is they're going to say you have all these supplemental plans and you have 2 employees on this one, 2 employees on that one. We're going to help the employees transition into billing on their own. And they said that basically what they like to do is say, if you don't have 5 employees that are willing to take something that's offered, then no employees get it. And they end at that, but they will help with that part of it.
Or we have a point where we have to sign a contract with them too.
Yes, and
Coming up.
I don't know if she's going to show up or not, but I had a class, or I was at a meeting on Thursday, and Friday was doing other things. I didn't get to look at my
That's fine.
email. She had actually emailed and wanted a time on the agenda, so I told her your guys' agenda was pretty open today. If she had time to come, if not, maybe we could set something up on Thursday or the following Monday.
Sure.
I think they'll go ahead and get started anyways.
Okay.
And there will be things that I have to make a priority for them to be able to do a successful
You'd
job.
have to give them
So-
access to our employee records, right?
and send them some information, yeah. Where we're at currently with plans, what everybody's on, how many dependents they have on each. And a lot of that stuff I can get from the state. I just gotta get it downloaded, so. That will be my priority this week. So I guess with that being said, thank you, Tammy. I did do proposed budgets, and I figured maybe we'd have time today. The auditor, I did visit with him Friday, and he is actually going to be in Mitchell County today, and he's kind of wanting to know where we were at, because if we're wanting them to help us, we kind of need to get working on it. So these are the budgets that I said I normally do, and I just haven't had time to do. Excuse the people. So I have my county clerk. Election, they did remove the tax lid, and there's a special exception. Did I give you? Sorry. Here, let me give you.
You were in the tax lid for election?
Yes, so there's a special exception now for elections in the tax lid, but next year is a presidential primary anyways, so we will need the maximum dollar amount. So if you remember, we just basically had said we'd kind of leave it the same and use it, because I'm going to have to upgrade equipment at some point in time. But then next year, when we're doing the 2021 budget, we can cut it back because it's a smaller election year, which is nice. I have the 2020 proposed budget for myself, and then I have the second page is the page that I do for you guys. So basically I left your budget the same, which is still a little bit more on payroll than what you guys are doing now, so you can cut that just a little bit. And I kind of made a mistake, because you might have cut this budget down anyways, because I just kind of copied and pasted. The courthouse general, I just increased it by the dollar amount of if you gave a 50-cent raise. Otherwise, everything else is the same. I did remove out the courtroom security because I kind of think we decided that we maybe didn't need that, and I think we've removed it last year too. Transportation bus, I left at the 20,000, but I think that he had asked for a little bit more, so I don't know where you guys are at with that. And then I did the half-mil computations and the 2-mil computations for all those others. Recycling center, I just increased their salaries by 50 cents.
So I think what we need to do, you're sure that yours are under the 1.4, the ones that are...
No, I haven't even done the math. No,
Okay.
because I didn't take.
So,
I just took last year's budget request, and I didn't fill out the right form. And I did find out though
calculator
Thursday.
down here, a big
Yeah,
10 key or whatever.
I found out Thursday, which I was kind of excited about, that Norton County has the same. So we were at our software vendors annual meeting, and Norton County prints out their budget just exactly like it is in their computer and gives it to the employee. There's a budget worksheet. I didn't even know that we had it. So I'm going to print that out and probably use that next year. So then that way, basically what it does is it takes every line item that everybody already has in their department, and then they just go through and they mark it, and it will transfer out into an Excel spreadsheet, and then they can, fill in the numbers and
Well,
stuff
isn't
like
that
that.
how they're... Well, I see they're all different. We need a uniform...
Yes.
Just like the time card thing, it's like every department does their own form of budget.
And he said in Norton County, he does, so you can do 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 5 year comparisons, whatever it is that you want to do. And I was like, good Lord, why didn't I know that was there?
Right, and then you can watch your own, yeah.
And then what they're going to work on next then is programming that so that they can upload it into the Excel spreadsheet up into the software program. So then that way we don't have to key in every line item like I'm doing now. So it's kind of interesting, but
On the courthouse contractual, that $100,000, what's that involved with?
it just encompasses anything that would be county general. A lot of it is postage, because like all of your accounts payable warrants and payroll warrants comes out of that. I could
Is
pull
that
up
like
and tell you.
telephone contracts and all that?
Yeah, your software contract.
Software for,
Yeah.
you guys, I didn't know, I'm just asking.
Well,
the
and
rules.
out of curiosity, that reminds me, is each department paying their own portion of any shared bills? Like, we don't have utility line items. Is everyone's utilities coming out of
Yes.
the general?
Out of the general fund, so that would come out of the 4,300. Now, everybody pays for their own telephone. And they're paying for their own software, their own Next Tech. So like the Next Tech bill or the computer, that's just what the county general is paying for.
So
It's
is
not-
that contractual, that 100,000, is that normally spent? Is it that, about the right to that level? Okay.
plus or minus some. But I actually got my
Now,
computer to
like,
work.
does
so I
the
can-
sheriff's department have separate utilities?
Yes,
So they'll pay their own,
they pay their own.
and the EMS and
Yes.
health department, they are paying their own utilities. So
Yes.
within the courthouse, so is district court paying us any utilities?
No.
Is economic development paying us any utilities?
No. They pay for their own telephone, but other than that, no.
It just kind of skews the numbers if we don't know.
So sheriff's
Yeah.
department's not on there? We don't,
No,
You
they
know
already
that.
submitted you the budget.
oh,
I
To the
have.
sheriff's office.
Which one did you want to see? I have them on here.
So like we have elevator maintenance that we pay for. I was trying to think. Grab my computer.
This isn't the right stack. Hold on, I'll find it.
so how does that work with the sheriff's department?
They have their own budget.
But
They
we
have a
still
budget.
have to approve it, don't we?
Correct.
Yes.
But we
No.
can't raise it or lower it, huh? Really?
Yes, we can. We
Well,
can
you
do anything
can.
we want with the numbers, but we just don't determine the line items. You know, if they want to spend a
On
particular amount.
Vehicles.
Right, I mean, we don't necessarily change their line items. We do in the way of determining the budget with just, where's that budget? So here, like if it says, health, law enforcement, okay. So if it says,
Those line items.
well, but this is how the money's coming
65,000.
in.
That's what we said. Remember?
Well,
There's a total in there, isn't
this is the health department, hold on.
it? Oh.
Okay, here's like an example, I'll just use this one as an example. In the actual budget, it'll have line items, salary, contractual, commodities, capital outlay. We have the power to reduce the capital outlay or increase it. The salaries reduce or increase. So their total amount for an elected official's office, they can spend within the line items how they wish through the year. But what we're actually approving is each line item. So we may say, oh, well, last year they didn't use all their contractual. We're going to knock 5,000 off of that and then leave that out of the budget. And then that gives them a certain amount to spend. But in law enforcement, they can overspend their budget and we would have to pay for that out of the county general. Is that right, Dawn? Does that come out of county general if there's an overexpense for like a law enforcement?
Well, in a way, it still comes out of their fund, so it's tracking it. But it's all within the county general, so the overall budget for the county general is the bottom line. And so if they underspend, or if they overspend, then somebody else hopefully will underspend.
Yeah, I mean, I know. Yeah, I understand
Yeah.
what you're saying. Ultimately, it's all the same money, but technically,
The county
if we had to
general's
make
paying
up for it, yeah, the county general fund is, yeah.
Yeah.
We're gonna review this before we, because I think on some of this stuff we could, because the valuation went up, maybe that.
And
might-
that's exactly what I was talking about.
Because,
the legality of doing a public mill is that the public is giving you permission to levy them.
Yeah.
It's not
Just up to.
exactly, no matter how it's worded, because I was looking
But
into
we
that.
can do less than the.
Yes.
We can
the,
just choose a dollar amount, and it doesn't necessarily equal.
It doesn't have to equal.
Right, because the valuation
An even
went
number
up.
of mills, you don't have to say you gotta give them an even number of mills. It could be 9.32 mills.
Exactly.
Because if you wanna give them 100 grand or something.
Exactly.
Okay,
Exactly.
all right,
It's just the taxable caps on that mill figure.
okay,
Exactly.
all right. Yeah. When do we have to have the budget approved on? End of this month?
We gotta figure this out so we can send it to the auditors, or I send in exactly what's been submitted and he comes and you guys start axing it then. But if you're wanting to decide before, he wanted you to decide before, because when he gets here, the last couple of years, it has felt like, and I get it, that he's personally making the decisions for what the budget is, and he's not. He's only inputting in what everybody requests. So, he had asked that you guys cut what you want to cut before he actually inputs it. But like we left it on Friday, if you guys don't make a decision today on anything, then I'm gonna send him what we have so he can start data entering it.
But we could change it later?
You,
Well,
and
the
then
very
you would
first
cut
thing
it
we need to
later.
do is do the calculations and see who's over 1.4. Is it one? What'd you send me? 1.4,
1.5%.
1.5.
Yes. And I didn't bring my budget book, so let me bring my budget book.
Okay, so 16.
We need Dawn back next Monday for HR, and we should by then have the HR figured out.
Yeah,
A motion to put out an advertisement.
yeah, I think so. I'd be ready to today, because we were just, this is what, the same job description we had before, basically.
Okay, so
We just need to put in the ad to specify that it's full-time, but it's,
Half HR and half admin assistant.
or something like that. It would be HR primarily, but we also have to, yeah, help out on other places, however you wanna word that. Yeah,
Admin assistant sounds nice.
yeah, admin assistant, there you go, yeah. Do we wanna sometimes review these, and see if we wanna change them or approve them or what, Alexis?
well,
And-
okay,
and
so
all
here's
those too, and
here's
all
what
those
we
too.
need to do. Like, okay, so mental health is requesting
1710,
right, but that's
that's 1,000 more than last year.
which 1,000 is more than 1.5%.
Yeah.
So we automatically aren't going to give that new
So we're only,
new
so
request
we
amount.
won't give them,
I'm getting this as 1.5% is $250. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
1.5% of their last year's amount is only an increase of $250.
in mental health, and what's the next one?
So economic development.
Oh, yeah.
So 117, let's do the math on that. But that is because we are allowed to levy up to a certain amount of mills, but then if we do more than 1.5% for that office, then it skews the total amount that we can do as a 1.5% maximum increase for anything else. I mean, maybe what we need to do is start with all of last year's numbers and just start there and see if there's anything we want to increase. Because the only increase would be wage increases, unless there was something that needed to be done contractually, which we're ultimately hoping to save money on the phones, not
But the
this year,
thing
but
is-
next year.
Well, also, I think we need to address the fact that the valuation went up, so if you give equal number of mills, that automatically pops you up that much
And
more
we're
money.
already over the,
And so I'm almost thinking maybe we'd have to give them,
How's our 311 funded? Is that already funded, or we gotta pay for that yet?
I don't know.
buying tablets and all that foolishness.
The tablets have already been bought for the motor graders.
Okay, so
And then I think they have an annual program, but that's something you can ask them when they come.
That's in the highway
on.
department budget.
But not every employee has a tablet. Only the motor graders, I think the bridge crew.
And that's an
there's
ongoing.
some operating cost,
So-
annual operating cost for that.
Yeah, that's what we pay.
That's
off
part
of.
of the 1.5 in the highway department is gonna have to be included.
Yeah, it would be part of the budget.
So for example, I'll use economic development as an example. Their last year dollar amount was 117,289. 1.5% of that is 1,759. But the total increase, if we were to do full mills, brings it is 5,000 more.
Yeah.
So automatically, they're not going to get that 5,000 because that's way above the 1.5%. So 1.5% added on to 117,289 is 1,759. So like about 119,000 instead of 117,200. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah. In other words, you're going to go up to 1.5%, not the full.
I'm just going to
Not
mark
the
on the
full
left.
valuation of the mill amount.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That it's not fair to the rest of the departments to just increase the
No, I agree.
mills for one department, which is $5,000.
We're not obligated to keep that same mill levy on each.
We're not obligated,
If you
even
go
though
all
it's
the way
worded
on
differently.
economic
I checked
development,
that.
it'd be at 122 instead of 119.
Exactly,
That's
exactly.
3,000 that you don't need to spend.
Exactly.
That's right. So I
And
think
it's 3,000 being dedicated out of the total budget to one increase
And all-
instead of the 1.5% across the
and
board.
all these we need to address that way too. Like
So-
Exactly.
hospital.
Exactly.
Would it be easier then if I just told the auditor no more than 1.5% to input 1.5% across the board for everybody, and then you could see what that number looks like?
I think what we need to do is just tell them to plug in the numbers from last year. Let's start where we were.
Okay.
Don't even give them the 1.5% up. Yeah, why don't we just do last year's
Let's start
numbers?
there,
Then
and
we
then we
can-
can talk about what the monetary increase is and where it's going. If it's going to employee salaries, in my opinion, that's
Okay.
more justifiable, but we also need to see what we're doing with the money. Like, for example, in the highway department, we have an extra $500,000 that we didn't spend on equipment this year. So we need to determine, are we gonna spend that? Where are we gonna spend it? Is there any gonna be rolling over for a purchase next
But
year?
we're looking at some serious money in the lake stuff and the bridges that are washed out.
I know.
So
Yeah, you're right. And if we hire a new director, that's we're gonna pay more.
I know.
But I think too, go with last year's numbers,
Yeah,
and then we
let's
can
start there.
justifiably increase or whatever based on what we think they need.
Mhm.
That's probably a good way to go.
And that's a huge difference, like, the hospital numbers.
Well,
Okay, so
yeah.
last year, hospital maintenance was 586,444.
Yeah, 611.
This year, 10 mills is
It's
611,000.
40,000.
Right, I mean, that's
I recommend.
a huge jump, that's way more than the 1.5%.
I almost recommend that to mine because.
I see
Well, that's
Liz
probably
is-
even more than this, though.
Liz is here, and I recommend we take a 2-minute break before she starts.
Okay,
Okay,
I will recess us for 2 minutes.
I'll do that too. Go ahead, Jim, we can. I'm out.
Let's go have a secret meeting down the hall.
Yeah, let's go. Thank you for saying
Come
that.
along if you want.
No, thank you.
At least there's more sense of humor. Dawn, do you have a key for this?
Yes. Sorry.
No, I haven't been here to do anything.
Okay.
I am ready.
Okay, yes, they are on the HR office keys. Hold on. When they get back, I'll just reiterate what I'm hearing you guys say that you want me to have the auditors do, and then we'll go from there.
I think that's the best place for us to start because we need to look, like we just said, the hospital one, that's a $40,000 difference. That's not even near 1.5%. So it's not fair to jump these numbers that are based on mills. And then what? Then we're scrimping to pay our employees more in other departments? I mean, that's not a fair way to do it in my mind.
Another.
I know. I know.
How was your executive session?
You should have been
We
there.
solved a lot of,
It was revealing, I can tell you
we
that.
solved, we solved a lot of issues real quick there. What to vote on, what not to vote on.
Okay, so are you reconvened?
I will reconvene the meeting to begin with the highway department. Come on
Okay.
down, Liz.
Can I just make one, I just want to make sure that I reiterate, so I'm going to have the auditors put in the same dollar amounts as last year on all of the funds,
Yes,
and we'll have him send the budget up then, and then you guys can look at it.
perfect.
And then we'll modify it from there.
Because what we can do then is compare what's in the budget to what the requests are, and I'll continue to do the math at the 1.5%,
Okay.
so that we know where we are with the max increase on each line item.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning, good morning. Thank you.
Here's this week's. Does this mean that Mr. Ward is off, so Mr. Critter King's filling in for him? Is that what that means?
Yes, and I think you got his release.
Oh, so,
That's not something we're gonna-
Gary got,
Right, right.
Gary Fredericton's
Wait,
back
we're
to
not-
Bladen?
Yeah.
He's not,
He's filling in
Yes,
for
he's
Mr.
filling in
Ward's
for
route.
Mike Ward.
but he's back to driving a grader?
Yes.
Yeah, I know he was.
We
he
all
couldn't-
discussed that.
You can't discuss that
Yeah.
if you're open meeting.
It's fine. Just where he is and what he's doing is fine.
Yeah.
He's now taking over. Is he on vacation? Is that what is going on, Mr. Ward, or is he in a different spot?
Yes, he is on vacation.
On vacation.
right now.
Okay, that's fine.
But there are some things I'll have to visit with, probably.
Executive session, all right.
Yes.
And I'll give you so I have some requests too for some people. I'll get with you later at the end. For work, you know, people request stuff. I don't know what, you could prioritize them or look at them. I'll just talk to you later.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, who did the projections on how much material and what it was going to cost to go over to Bison? Where you're doing?
That's on the Yule.
Uh-huh.
Well, I kind of left that up to Bobby, since he was the
I just wondered if it's
project
on.
person, but I have not calculated those tickets yet. And I was gonna try to have that done for you today, and I didn't.
I just wondered if.
And they're not done. And they are, because they could not do anything on Thursday there, because they were putting in all the power poles. So the guys couldn't even be on the road. Therefore, that's why they're
So
doing
did they
it.
replace culverts there? Has that already happened?
Yes.
Okay. Awesome.
Yes.
Then they're
Yeah. I mean, so hopefully they'll haul today, and they're hoping, I mean, they'll probably do most of the day tomorrow, and possibly some on Wednesday. That is not for sure, but I put it anyway.
Okay, and then this means Mr. O'Hare's not coming into the office.
I don't believe so, no. I think he is back, on his way back to Oklahoma.
I'm just out of
Yes.
curiosity because
Yes,
was
and that's
scheduled
why-
out for the week. So and
I put that because I'm not for sure, but I think that is, he was on his way back.
Okay.
I do know that.
and did you receive the resignation as well?
I did not.
Okay, we received his resignation at the meeting. It was dated the 1st of August.
Yes.
So we have some applications to go over, and I think we put that on next week's schedule, I believe.
Yeah, this Thursday.
Oh,
This Thursday.
Thursday is what you said.
okay, so the 8th.
Yeah.
So we'll be doing that on the 8th. And we can let you know where we are in that process.
I have, I pulled our Meitler gravel agreement because the guys actually hauled some larger rock out of there to take, on,
Is this what they call the Wolf Creek pit? Is that?
Yes, Meitler Wolf Creek. Yes,
Okay.
that is correct.
Mhm.
And they hauled 6 loads, I guess, out on Thursday. Unfortunately, I wasn't there to kind of halt that, right? We knew that we were going to do that anyway. I wanted to call Mr. Meitler prior to doing that. And I had to be in Wichita with my mother-in-law. But anyway, I did talk to him this morning. And I called, which I left laying on my desk, but I called APAC this morning to see what they were getting for like 24-inch riprap, and I believe it was $23 or $28 a
Cubic
ton,
yard, a ton.
something like that in a way. And I'm pretty sure that's what it is, and I just left it laying there. But when I talked to him, he felt that the larger rock was probably worth more than the $2 that they get. And when I talked to him, I said, but when you think about it, it's not consuming the whole back end of a 12-yard truck either. I mean, it's not filling up the whole truck.
My understanding of the lease agreements for the pits is that we mark off our area, we pay for that area, and what we dig is what we dig. And while I don't disagree that it may be worth more, like you said, you can't really measure the quantity.
No, because the only way we could do that is by weighing those trucks. And they took 6
Well,
loads
even
out
that doesn't
already.
matter, because if you have half large rocks and half filler rock in there, it's still a weight that doesn't denotate what percentage of the
Right.
load is what size. So I don't think we can really make an exception there.
Well, and he had said that prior to, he supposedly used to have that part of it leased out, as far as that part of it leased to someone else for the larger rock. But he doesn't, that lease is no longer, and we have whatever part of it, I'm not for sure. But years ago, or whenever, he used to lease that out for someone to take the larger rock out of there. I know nothing.
But you're saying that we're pulling stuff out right now that's
We
already
are.
in our leased area. And so there's a request to pay more for that,
I mean,
but it's within our
He felt that
boundaries.
should be, yes.
Yeah, I don't
Yes.
think...
And when I spoke with Michael on it last week, he said typically, we give them a courtesy call, and he said that's kind of part of it.
A courtesy call.
but-
What do you mean by that?
Well, we let them know that we're going to be removing the larger rock out of there, because he just feels that that's something they need to know, that we're taking not just the gravel,
We found rock that's
that
not
there's
gravel.
larger rock.
Then are we obligated to pay more for that bigger rock?
Well, that's what Mr. Meitler feels like. Maybe we should pay him more.
But we don't have a contract that says that.
No, when I pulled the contract, it says strictly gravel on there.
And what are we paying, $2 a yard now?
Mm-hmm. And he was thinking 5 for the large rock.
Well, the trouble is
May I?
we'd have to keep track of the large rock then versus the
I
gravel,
know,
and
that's
you'd
just
have to
saying.
say, okay, here's a gravel truck, and we're charging $2 a ton, this is a large rock truck, we're charging $5, and we'd have to be real specific on that, who's gonna control all that, Yeah, Steve,
Why wouldn't you want the rock? You want to put this ground back, you've got to put it back. So why not get rid of the big rocks that are not laying there in the way and you can't farm around it or
You
whatever?
mean, why wouldn't we wanna pay for it, us?
No.
Oh.
Why wouldn't the owner want it out?
Oh, wanna get rid of them?
Yeah, I wouldn't want you to dig a pit and then just pile all the rocks
In other words,
somewhere, and
he
then
should,
I've got to farm around and trees grow up.
so what you're saying is, he shouldn't be wanting more money for them to get them out of there. That's your opinion? Yeah. Norman?
There is a difference in minerals. The lawyers already are looking at this in other states, where it's gold, silver, natural gas. Each mineral is being separated. If you lease property, what do you lease it for? Do you lease it for the timber rights, the grazing rights? These are issues that are being in the courts already.
Well,
So you're going to have to separate each mineral.
Well, we got gravel, we have a lease for gravel, Norman, and that's gravel rock, and most people know what that is,
I know, Randy, but it's the lawyers.
Okay, well, we haven't got to that point.
Well, it's
Point
coming.
yet. Well, I hope not.
Well, I think there are two considerations. Number one, we have a certain area in which we're already leased and it's already active, and it does specifically say gravel in this agreement. So, I mean, how much rock is there that we need to move in order to keep getting gravel? Is it not even worth our time? Or
I've
is there
never
enough
been out
there?
there, so
Yeah,
I don't
so-
know.
Do we need those big rocks for a special project?
Yes, and what they're going to do, because already 6 loads have been dumped. They did that on Thursday.
What do you mean?
But they went ahead and retrieved 6 loads.
Of the big
which-
rock.
Yes, of the big rock. It actually is going on a project on Milo where there was some flood damage.
To make a base down?
Yes, kind of by
dig
that.
down to make a base
bridge.
to rebuild
Something with
it.
that bridge where you don't, typically the bridge is closed, but you have to go around it. So I guess there's some problems due to flood.
Probably.
But what they're going to do is they're going to, we have a lot of scrap up in the north lot that can probably be laid down first to kind of take up more of that surface area. And then if we would have to fill in with rock, then we could do that. But I mean, obviously it's going to take a lot. And again, I haven't been out there to even see that. I don't know, but so they're going to try to use what we have at the north lot first to kind of get rid of it. I think there's some busted up tubes and, that they can probably put in there to hold that.
So
thing.
normally would we need more of that large rock from that pit, do you think?
Well,
If we need a lot of it in the future, maybe we should negotiate this lease and pay a little more for it, because if we need it, then he has it.
Does it need to be used now, or can this be put off to the side so it's measurable later? Or do we need to be digging it as we go and retrieving it?
I think right now they're going to try to fill it with what is up there and see where we're at. And then, I mean, because I don't know how much it's going to take.
Okay.
I think that's what they're going to try to do, but they were not even going to get back to that until,
Do we have any leases in the past where we've done anything with that?
not
that you know
not
of?
to my knowledge, no. No. When I came on it, it's just strictly the gravel portion of it.
Well, if we would use a lot of that big rocks, I could see maybe we'd give him a little more premium, but we have to specify, says, hey, we're loading out the big rocks on this load, so we'll give you $4 a ton.
Yeah, how
Now
do
we're
we
getting
separate it?
getting a load of gravel and we're paying you $2 a ton.
I know,
We
and
gotta
that
keep
was
account,
my-
we'd
that
have to
was
keep
my
an
point.
accounting of
Yeah.
that, and he would have to agree with
Was
it.
she saying we already hauled out 4 or 5 loads?
Yeah.
6 loads. So
But-
how did they determine if it was the full load was large rock or gravel and large rock, or who did that?
It was a load of rock.
Okay, well, that's okay,
It was a load of the large rock.
as long as he
But
would,
when you're thinking, I mean, it does not consume the whole bed. If you crush those big rocks, it's not going to fill that hole back in
No,
the
it'll
truck.
be a half.
Right, so we don't want it by the yard, we want it by the weight.
That's
So-
what I was saying, yes.
So-
Probably by the weight.
yeah,
But they were, now APAC evidently, it's a measurable thing because she specifically said 24 inches.
well, yeah, Impact's got it.
Yeah.
Well, they got,
Well, that's the average size of the boulder.
Yeah.
So,
they're very specific on what they sell
Yeah.
on every item.
Yeah.
and what was the price you
We're
said?
not.
I want to say 23 or 28. 23, 28. I think you're right. 28 something. There was some cents in there.
A ton.
Yes.
No, they were high on this.
That's what they call riprap.
Yes, it's riprap.
It doesn't go through the crusher.
Well, if we need that with a lot of this rock, Liz, and we ought to, but we need to keep track of that. Says, okay, we're hauling 4
He
loads of this
suggested
rock today.
$5 a ton?
I would
Well-
almost agree to that if we need that, because that's a good price compared to Portside.
Well, what we want to do though is we
But we
want
gotta-
to amend the lease to say an
Yeah.
additional $5 per ton
For a
for
big rock.
rock over, what do I want to say?
What size is the
Yeah,
smallest size? Would it
Yeah,
be,
how big are we
would
going
a
out
8-inch size rock count as rock, or would it be,
Who's bulldozing?
where's that gravel?
Um,
know what I'm
it would be Craig Cressley. Would be,
Presley.
yes.
Tim, you got a,
Maybe you should reword your lease to include anything in the pit and not specify gravel on the side of rocks.
we could just do that, anything in the pit, and it will give you, instead of $2 a ton, But then we're kind of cheating
Well,
ourselves.
I almost
if
feel
we're-
that,
If we're only getting gravel.
yeah, I almost feel we should honor maybe what we took out so far. And
Oh,
then
yeah.
if it was amended. Yeah, I mean, we should
Do you have
Going
the
into
what-
the future, I
make
mean,
it
I
right,
see.
yes, make it right with him.
so much
You
a
know,
ton?
We don't
or
wanna lose
so
that
much?
pit.
Did we weight it?
No,
Oh, so
no.
we
Yeah,
just,
but
we
it
just go
doesn't
by a
say
truckload.
rock.
then,
It
huh?
specifically says gravel.
So well, how do we know when we're hauling gravel out of there, how much a ton we're getting, or how many yards we're getting?
They do it
Just by
by
with the
truck.
bucket?
Yes,
So
by
you got a truck
truckload.
full, you know that's so many yards?
Yes.
Okay, now, okay.
Yeah,
So we
Or
don't
load.
have a weight to go by, so we're gonna end up paying a full yardage for whatever the truck capacity is times 6.
So if you
yeah,
got
but
full,
if you figure,
Yeah.
correct. That is correct. Because we don't, because I even asked, I said, did you guys at least weigh it? Like, go to the
Then I think
landfill,
what we
weigh
need to do is we need to be on the beneficiary receiving end of the first 6 loads and then go from here on out
Yes.
and pay the rate that he wants. I mean, because
well, he's wanting us to pay now for those 6 loads more. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I told him that I was bringing it to the commissioners and I would get back with him.
Well, I'm sure you all have seen by the block pit, those great big rocks that were stacked out there, right along the highway.
Mhm.
So some of them are little, some are
They're all,
bigger.
all
Some are
sizes.
bigger than that desk.
Yeah, there's different sizes.
Yeah. So you can't really go by size.
Well, if we could use a lot of that rock and it's a lot cheaper than quartzite, I'm saying we would maybe want to give a premium
think when I-
in the future. But we got to specify, okay, we're loading a truckload of rock here, so we'll give you $5 a ton, or a yard, or whatever a truck full is. You go by the yard or the ton, I don't know, or a truck full.
Well, typically we do it by truck full because we just know that's a 12-yard truck and they
So
fill
it'd be
it.
12
and
yards. 12 yards.
Yeah,
Well, we probably have to do the same
or
thing
a
with
20,
rocks,
but
even
they
though-
would never put it in a belly dump. It will always be a 12
because we can
yard.
use them and we need them. They're a lot cheaper than going to quartzite get them, paying that big price there. So we should probably do this.
But okay, what was explained to me by one of the guys, they said that at Quartzsite it's cleaned rock,
Yeah.
whatever that means. Like there's no junk on it.
There's no dirt.
Yeah,
Real small
yeah.
debris.
You're
Yeah.
scooping it.
And I
Yeah.
guarantee you, when they're hauling, when the county's hauling the big rocks, there's gravel getting put in that truck too. when they're
Oh.
yeah,
doing
what
it.
I'm saying is I'm proposing that we just pay him the rate per yard since we don't have a weight on those 6 that he already agreed to.
The
If
5.
we're going to continue to
The
mine
5 or the 2?
no, the rate that we're already
The rate
paying.
the 2?
I'm saying there's no legitimate way for us to calculate how much we had. You know, we were just saying there's dirt on there.
Yeah, there
there's
is.
gravel in there. I mean, unfortunately, we went ahead and continued with that before it was discussed or determined. But from
Well, he
here
didn't
on
make an
out-
issue out of it till now, though. Mr. Meitler did.
Right. So what I'm saying is now that he's brought it to our attention, maybe we need to be careful and compensate accordingly and make sure
Right.
each load is separate. What's done is done. I feel like it's unfair for us to spend out of our budget something that costs us a lot more that we don't know even what we got. There's no way to measure it other than knowing how big of a truck it was, which has nothing to do with the weight or the ratio of dirt to rock or anything like that.
But the lease you have makes no distinction between gravel and big rocks. It's just $2 for what you haul out.
Right.
Well, it actually says gravel though.
It does. It's gravel.
But it makes no distinction. And you've
Right.
got a leased
There's no
area there,
definition.
And
But
you're not,
aren't those big rocks gravel?
you're not obligated to sort that
Broken
out.
to pieces?
Yeah.
Essentially, yes.
It is.
Yeah.
So,
My APAC leases don't specify size of rocks.
you know, that, technically, we're correct at $2.
Okay.
If you want to give him more, that, you're gonna have to
We'll do two.
renegotiate a lease and rewrite that thing. Because right now, we agreed and he agreed that it's $2
Yeah.
for what you're hauling out of there.
Well, it'd be hard to separate, like we just said, what's a load of rock versus a load of gravel? Because
Right.
you're gonna have a combination of both in every load you get. Because you might have a load of gravel, but you're gonna have some rocks in there that big. You might have a load of rock
Right.
with some gravel in there. So you're gonna have a mixture of both, and no matter what. you
I don't
call it.
disagree.
I don't think we should retroactively pay. If
No,
we
I
want to
think-
talk from here on about how we want to go forward and proceed, you know, I don't know, I haven't been to all the pits. I don't know how many have rock that we could be retrieving. Are there, you know what I mean?
I'm assuming this one. I do not know on the others.
It kind of
gonna change
remember,
it.
I kind of remember the block pit owners asking to sell some of the larger rocks out, and we denied the request. So I kind of think that we own the rocks too, if we mined it. But I could do a little research and see if there was anything in the minutes. But it seems like
You did.
since I've been clerk,
I wanted one of the big rocks to sit out in my front yard on the lawn. Yeah,
And it-
landscaping
And the block pit is
And no
in the
hair
process
set.
of reclamation.
well, that's part of our stuff. I
I
don't know.
think we got a $2 lease, and if we wanna
Okay.
change that, we're gonna have to renegotiate a lease, and I'd recommend leaving it alone.
And now if he doesn't like that and says, well, you're not gonna, if he could rescind the release or cancel it,
Well, then you go back and renegotiate.
then we renegotiate for
But as
the
it is
rocks.
now, I think you're good to go at $2.
Okay.
Yeah,
My question for the bulldozer operator is, how much of this rock do we need to remove to keep continuing to mine the gravel that's already smaller particles? Because if we're doing all the work to get it out of the way, we need to determine, is it worth us going ahead and buying it and using it because we're already basically piling it, or are we done with that pit? Because if there's so much rock there that we can't get to any more gravel and we're not going to pay, then what are we wasting our time there for? It's kind of, we have 12 pits open right now. 12.
When you start renegotiating the lease, you need to remember what Steve says. If you don't take that rock, and when you get ready to put it back the way it was, and all that rock is still gonna be in there, whoever owns that land's got what I would call a hell of a problem. So go out and look at Tommy Addison's and see what they left out there.
Yeah.
exactly.
And so, we're actually hauling that big rock out, we wouldn't wanna say that, but you're actually doing him a favor by getting that out of there. But when you go back and put that back the way it was,
Yeah.
you're in trouble. So, I'd leave it at $2, and if
Okay.
the miner wants to
If he wants to-
renegotiate, then we'll talk.
Yeah, if he doesn't like that, tell him to negotiate with
Okay.
him. Which
Next,
miner was that?
Gene,
Okay, Gene, okay. Okay,
real nice guy.
yeah, I know him well.
Okay, next thing would be chip seal. I'm really kind of proposing that we just scrap it this year and just do patching at Sylvan and Vesper. Because I'm telling you, we're getting down to not very many people to work it. And we're having problems. It just seems like it has been doomed from the get-go. Not only with people quitting, but with APAC. I think I mentioned, I can't remember, on their crushers. Their second crusher went down. So technically, we should be starting to haul some of that chip rock this week or the first of next week. And he was going to have to disperse it to us in so many, we just can't get it all at one time.
So
We
you'd
would
have to
be
do it.
taking some this week, some next week, and some the following week,
So it wouldn't be
dragging out that whole process.
Okay.
And there is somebody, Morris County gets all the equipment right after us. But I guess the thought is to maybe scrap the chip sealing part of it and go ahead and patch, which we could still go pick up the equipment in Topeka. And then, one of the guys suggested, well, maybe we could check with another county about borrowing their equipment. I said, I can tell you now, they probably will not do that because of something breaking down, because of insurance purposes, all of that.
Can we get some bids on contracting it instead of doing it ourselves? I mean, I know that we have a particular line item for chip seal, but that's for the equipment and the material. That doesn't even count labor, management, office, that kind of stuff. So maybe if we could get some bids on that, if we do have to forego the project this year, it had even been suggested to me, what if, what is that, like 7 or 9 miles in Sylvan?
I think it's 8.
8
Well,
miles. So someone suggested to me, what if you did
Close
over
to
2
8.
years, half of it? You contracted out, dig up 4 miles, pile that material for our own use, and then have someone relay it. Do half of it and then wait a year or two and
I
do
don't
the other
think
half.
I think we talked about that Thursday in the office, and that is going to be so much money.
Do you have any idea how much? 'Cause
Oh,
I
I
don't.
would say several $100,000.
Okay, so
I mean,
so you have
it
to
would
do
be-
you have to do the calculations. You have to have a cost analysis. You have to know how much material you're getting to use, what we're going to end up paying to have that stockpiled so that we can use it on our other roads, which lasts longer, which means less maintenance, less manpower, less wear and tear on our equipment. It's a longer term investment. I understand what you're saying. It's a large dollar amount. But if we skip the project this year that's $100,000, do you see what I'm saying? And there's more than one location. I get it. That's my district. It comes off of I-70, so I see it as a priority in my mind. But it was suggested to me, and until we have any actual numbers, I don't know that it's worth debating, you know? And I know it was said by the clerk that one year we tried to skip it to save money, and because we're on a 3-year rotation with 3 different towns that get the chip seal, and it was a disaster to try to catch up. But maybe this year is one of those years that we can't physically.
Well, there were a couple of guys that actually have driven that out there, and I actually was on that road last week, and I am by no means an expert, but I honestly, as far as patching, I felt that would probably suffice as well. And then we talked to several of the guys who have been doing it for years, and they felt the same, that it could be possibly skipped. I mean, gosh.
But if you
But
skip
you
that,
have
to-
you're gonna skip it in a 3-year rotation, or you're gonna just skip it for the 3 years.
But you
move
know what?
everything else
Everything.
back.
This
push it
was
back,
right, but this was my thought. Okay, so next year, instead of renting the equipment for 1 month, you rent it for 2, or you rent it for, maybe in that span of time, a month period, you can get 2 locations done.
Mhm.
That was my thought.
Have a crew dedicated to that
Absolutely.
for the summer, basically.
Absolutely. I mean, when they get going, literally, I think last year I was totally shocked. It took like a week and a half. It did.
I
You
guess
did the
what I'm
Westfall Road,
saying is
that was-
though,
That was quite a few miles.
Yes, it
Like
was.
15, 18
Yes.
You gotta have everything stockpiled in position.
Correct.
before you haul
And
it.
that's what our
All
problem
the
is.
employees.
We're being held up because of APAC not being able to get us the material, because the material they have dropped already on the ground is going straight to Saline County, and they're exhausting all of their stock. He said they're working 24 hours right now.
If you don't have
And I haven't been able to
the
talk to him
operator, you can't do it
today.
anyway.
Pardon me?
If you don't have the operators, you can't do it anyway.
mhm.
Do
I
you
mean-
have to rent the truck for the entire month? Because it won't take them an entire month to seal.
I don't believe so. I think they do adjust for that, because we no more get done with it and it goes straight to another county. And the county behind us, they have it for 2 months. He said they rent it every year for 2 months. Put it on the book.
Morris County.
Yes.
But so you would just want to patch for now, and that would be easier and less work,
I mean,
less money.
where you're talking, they're still finishing up FEMA. And I think there's going to need to be some discussion at some point. I don't know specifically where the projects are as far as the historical bridge that is kind of caving in due to all the flood water. Or, I do know someone, they come from Missouri, and that is what they do. They work on historical structures. I can't even imagine what that would cost, but I thought, I may just kind of give them a call and,
Well, I've
ask.
been told that the county used to do 2 bridges a year, 2 stone bridges a year, and
Yeah, I don't know if it's on the historical site.
I don't think
or
we have
landmark,
many,
I
but
don't
there are
know.
some that are eligible,
Yeah.
I believe. But we haven't done any the whole
But
time
what
I've been on
I'm-
the commission. I've been asking for bids for those every year and never get them.
Well, what I'm saying too, as far as with the chip seal, we're still not done with FEMA.
Yeah.
I mean,
You're
I'm telling
behind.
you, you were talking. That's like comparing apples to oranges, because we can spend a lot of money and try to man this and get chip seal done, and probably, we sure don't want to do a botched job on it because of the people that we don't have. But then again, we have to get the FEMA done in order to bring the money back into this county. Because
Yeah.
if that does not get done, you're not getting any money.
Yeah, you
It's
should
my-
do FEMA first, in my opinion. 'Cause that's
Right, I
the
think
most
your
important.
priority for your job is that, to calculate all of that and keep it
Absolutely.
rolling. But my suggestion to the commission is to instruct the highway department to receive bids I think we need to
What
know.
you're talking about though,
Not necessarily that. Even if we just bid out.
bid for what?
Even the chip seal project. We just need to know what we're talking money-wise from
Want
lowest
to have a
end
whole
of
third
us.
party do chip seal and renovate that road south of
Either
Silver?
or. I mean, there are different tiers. I mean, obviously the cheapest would be to do it ourselves and just do a patch job. If we're really
Well, I think right now
that strung,
I think right now we should, because she's on a time schedule here. What you're asking for is a
but
long-term
what are
thing.
we? But what are we band-aiding, and how much is it going to cost as compared to just let it go and deal with the whole thing right?
Patching, how
Later.
How extensive would the patching be?
I mean, they could get that done in several days. I
Okay.
don't think, and although you would still need
Is
You-
it
you still
necessary?
need
Is
that
what I'm
equipment.
7,
asking.
8, you're still gonna need,
You still need
well,
that equipment? That
Johnny is the one who was gonna mark all of that, and he was gonna go, and if I'm mistaken, I'm probably,
Are we
I
only
thought that
referring-
he had gone and looked, but he just got back actually last
Are
week.
we only referring to Sylvan?
Yes.
I mean, is that necessary? Is that necessary to do in this season, or?
I think
what
he.
kind
I think, in my opinion, he should. I think he probably should be the one to determine that. Maybe he and one other guy.
Has
John
he been
Warren?
leading the chip sealing project?
He does all the. He does all the marking, and he kind of, has. Yes.
Basically,
I mean,
what
I
I'm
shouldn't
saying
say
is
the
how
whole
much
project
deterioration is going to happen between this year and next year if we don't patch it all.
Well, we're through all one harvest. I mean, if you're talking big equipment going on it or what have you, I don't know.
I think we should do the patch like you recommended, and not the full chip seal, especially since you're so busy with work with FEMA stuff and you're shorthanded. That's what I would think.
I mean, I can still try to pull
And we-
together some sort
And
of
you can
figures.
still do the figures
I mean,
sheet.
to me, it would be. I have no clue. So it would be nice to know what it would cost to sub something out. Do we spend $25,000 this year and patch it, and it really doesn't preserve anything? So then we have to do something about it next year. So do we want to just save that $25,000 and put it into subbing out a real?
I think you're still
job?
going to need to do it regardless. I think you're
That's
still going to need to
why
have
is-
the patching.
Yeah, I'm asking.
Well,
why.
because you don't want your road to deteriorate, I don't think any
It'd
further.
get worse, probably.
I know, but you're talking about 4-year span instead of 3, and I know it's been on this 3-year rotation.
No, but I'm saying that maybe next year, when all of our ducks in a row and we have a full staff of people, and hopefully not dealing with FEMA staff that is,
Yeah.
harming everything anyway,
Yeah, you'd
that
have,
maybe a person can do 2 sites, like Sylvan and Barnard.
And I'm saying we might
Yeah.
even be able to afford subbing it out to do
Correct.
it so that it lasts more than 3. I mean, if we're just guaranteeing every 3 years going back to the same spot, it's worth paying 3 times as much to not have to go back for 9 years. That's how money works. It's not just job
Yeah.
security where they know where they go every year because you just do
Yeah.
the same patch job.
Yeah.
I'm talking about an investment that you get a return on, and that way you
I
have
don't
a
disagree
long-term
with
plan.
you at all. I don't disagree at all.
Well, and
I'll
this
just
isn't
have
really
to-
your, and I'm sorry, because you're just filling in, so
Yeah.
this isn't really your long-term plan. I'm just wondering if the commission has a reason that we spend the money on the patch job. Is it really going to preserve anything at this point? Because something needs to be done there next year.
Well,
Regardless.
you're talking going into the winter months, how much snow will we have? We have no idea, but, if you get out there and blading on that road and and it hasn't been patched, you're gonna tear it
you're
up.
gonna tear it up more. And how much, and this patch job probably isn't that expensive either, is it? You got a guess on that?
No, I mean,
I know it's hard for you to.
Yeah,
to try
I
that.
should've
That's
brought
okay.
some
Isn't
of that
our
in-
line item for chip seal 100,000? Isn't that what the?
I don't
yearly-
even have the budget here.
Are you having any luck hiring the replacements or the people that are terminated?
You haven't been trying probably, have you?
We
I don't-
haven't even advertised,
Yeah.
so
Okay.
Yeah,
we need to discuss that too.
Well, I think you should patch, like you guys recommended, because I think you had like John and that probably recommended that. He knows what he's doing, I think, and whether
Yes.
and whether it'd be beneficial or not. So I think my opinion here is that we ought to do that.
There's $250,000 to chip seal and patch budgeted,
Annually.
Annually,
at least this year.
yeah.
I mean, I can.
Can't you get a bid whether you get it or not?
Yeah, that's
That's
in my
what I-
opinion, the bid is necessary to know what we're dealing with. If you have 250,000 set aside, which doesn't include man hours and labor and machinery, which ironically, we charge for people winning gravel projects, but that is not included in that $250,000. So you're talking more like $300,000 that we're
You're talking about a
expending.
bid for doing it for next year?
Yeah. No, not this year.
I was
Next
gonna
year.
say that, because we're at a point now where she wants to know what to do now, this year for, your bids, I was talking next year, those are two separate things, we don't wanna combine them together here, in this conversation.
I don't know enough about it technically to call the shots on whether a patch job is even gonna help. I mean, do you know what I'm saying?
It will, and the
It'll
and
get you through
and the
the
guys
winter
have
so you
said
won't
it will. I mean, you know, we're talking Johnny, who's been on these roads a long time.
And I don't think it'd be that expensive
No.
compared to that full blown chip
And I
seal.
take what he says.
Yeah,
And actually, I mean, I visited with Michael as well. This has been, I don't know, probably 2 weeks ago. They all run the camp, but he even said, you know, with the way things are going, you may have to scrap it and do the patching. And I mean, those are the guys who know. They do, and I happen to agree. Just upon seeing, you know, as far as last year or whatever, even with doing Westfall, I mean,
they did
you
a
know,
good
I think
job
the
last
patching
year.
goes very good. And not only that, but there's a few places, like they'll go back to in Westfall, there might be a few little holes, or maybe a couple in Barnard, that they patch that as well.
Right,
So
right.
it's not just,
They come back and fix it later
exactly,
if there's.
because they are in the off year of having it done.
So I think they patch everything. And
Yeah.
I know, like, South Street has a cave off south of the cemetery.
Yes, and I
It
know
was
they
marked
always
for
go
the
there.
longest time, but it is not marked anymore. But I'm assuming they must have put something in there to kind of help with that.
They could have. I know they were I'll have to check on that.
But I think patching will get you through the winter, because you seal your road up, you won't have the frost heave.
Yeah, and I don't think the expense is that high, because you're gonna patch in where it
Yeah.
needs, where it's need be, right? So it
Yeah.
wouldn't be that big a job in manpower and expense. I think so too. Do we need?
Well, how
What do
many
you
people
think,
can work
Nancy?
on the patching crew, and as opposed to how many people normally work the whole chip seal?
Well, that's what I was trying to think earlier.
Chip patching would be a lot less than the whole chip seal job, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
And
Four,
you
six.
wanted to concentrate
I'm gonna
on.
say probably 8, maybe.
For the chip seal project?
I think for patching. I think they could. Let me, because they would do. Because they're still gonna have to get all 3 pieces of equipment. The broom, which we thought maybe we could eliminate that if we still had the broom at the north lot, and that was sold in Purple Wave, because it wasn't very good. So that'd be 2, 4, I'm going to say 7 or 8 guys. But they could get that out pretty quickly. Although then you're going to have the truck drivers.
Well, you were gonna do chip seal, which would have been a lot more intensive.
Yes, and that's,
So,
yes.
so I think, and since you're busy as hell and you coat Apex back behind, and you gotta get this equipment out, you got all these reasons you can't do chip seal. So patch, I think, is the best next thing. And especially since John Walden, that guy's been doing it 20 years, you know what they're doing.
Absolutely.
So I think that's my opinion. Yeah. And we
Okay,
can-
so
we
just
can-
patch this
and
year?
Alexis, I'll agree with
Okay.
you on, look for bids for maybe,
I mean, we have all winter
Yeah,
to do
all
that.
winter.
I'm just saying.
maybe bids
Yeah,
for
I
next year.
don't know
for
what
those
it's going to
guys.
cost to do the patching,
Okay.
and I'm just saying, are we going to?
I can probably come up with something as maybe to last year. Or I could
Yeah.
probably pull the records out
And you were
back
look-
when they did it 3 years ago
and you
or
were
whatever.
looking for too, south of Silva, maybe eventually do a major job, like where they would really almost
I know
rebuild those roads,
completely.
right?
Dig
I
it
know
up
that
and-
KDOT had piled up asphalt millings right north of Sylvan. They were going for like $18 to $20 a ton, I believe, and we didn't buy any. And
But-
Ellsworth came
but-
in and bought them all,
Yeah.
and Russell came in and bought some, and every other county around here bought asphalt millings. So what I'm saying is, with the deterioration of our chip seal projects over time, I mean, it's not meant to be, and that's why they say truck routes. You know, this isn't a truck route necessarily, but trucks use it. So is there some sort of longer term investment that we can do, piling up our own millings at $18 a ton? I mean, you have to factor that into the investment.
You mean if we dig up the old road, piling up buildings, is that what you're saying? Well, yeah, we could probably do that, store that.
and use it. I mean, then you're creating a more long-term solution for some of these. I'll use Union as an example. I always go back to that one. I mean, look at how many problems we've had. How many times we've had to go back to the same spot because of crappy gravel. If we had asphalt millings, especially where you're coming off the highway on the wider
On that top
radius.
On top of that hill, and that's real
Yeah, I
steep, and
mean, you
it's
pack that in.
crowns
If you don't dig it up with the blade, it's not going anywhere.
yeah, we had that
for years.
Had that clay up there, and that would make it really slick up there for a while. Hopefully, I think that's better now with sand and rock in there. But
Well, we can fight that out over the winter.
Yeah.
yeah. But for now, I would just do
Patch
patch.
and go.
Okay.
What else do you have? Liz? Anything?
Okay, so like I kind of took it upon myself. Sorry.
No,
But I know
good.
some people because I worked in Saline County for quite some time, 8 years, and this is because I brought it up last week or whenever it was about the pay and all that jazz. I'm going to hand one to Dawn also. That is pay on county side and state side. I think the top one is state because that's Chief Justice Ness. So the first thing is for state and how they do it. And if you look on, I talked to Todd Heitschmidt, who is the administrator up there, and
Okay, so wait, what you're giving us.
it's just examples. You guys were
Right, but I want clarification on what it is. You're saying that it's an administrative order for the fiscal year 2020 pay matrix for state employees in their highway department. Is that what I'm getting?
Well, no, not necessarily. I just got an example for you. Is
Of
how
what
they
the-
were.
This doesn't
How
say
they.
what it is.
Well, this would be their pay.
For who?
This is for the state side.
For who?
For the state.
For KDOT?
Judicial.
For the judicial branch.
Look at
and,
the
and
back.
that's
Go
all
past judicial.
Yeah.
Yeah, go past judicial. Get into
It's all the
Yeah, get
it's
into
all the
that stuff.
judicial. Which and the only reason he just sent it all to me, and it basically was just trying to give you two different examples of how they base pay when we talked about it last week. And that's all I was doing. I just knew if
You're
somebody I
saying
could
they
call.
have a strata and this is their pay
Yes.
increases per step.
Yep.
Correct. On the county side, this is county. Now, I do not know what tier they don't give you that. So like, say, their highway department might be grade 11 or grade 10 or grade 9.
You don't know
And
which
it's
department.
No, because they don't, yeah. I mean, I'm sure they know that, but that is,
Well,
I don't know
we'd
that we're
have
not
to-
privy to that or what,
We'd
but
have to invent a schedule
correct.
for us if we
But
want to
so
go
what
to
they're
this system.
saying is in the first year, so if you look at grade 9 and it's showing first step, so say if that was like a blade operator, for instance, we just take blade operator. They started out at 1338. So there's 6 months, then they get half of the raise to the 1415. So whatever that would be in between there.
What is the step? What does the step?
The first 6 months, they go to like 1.5. So it would be.
So the step is a scale of time, not of skill.
A year, is that a step? Was that like a yearly upgrade?
Yes, but they're also, their eval falls into play there. So if they have gotten an eval that is above satisfactory, whatever their grading is there, then that is how they determine their wage. But after your first 6 months, you get whatever it is, 1338 to 1450 is what?
77 cents.
Okay, so you get half of 77 cents. So at the end of the year, your first year.
So we're actually paying a lot more than that because we're paying 50 cents for 6 months. Or we pay, yeah, we are.
Okay. But then we falter in the end. But then you go to.
What does that mean?
Well, I'm just saying, it depends on where you're starting the wage. If you had a certain department that starts, with their base wage. At the end of the first year, they go to 1415, so you get the rest of that money. So then your second year, you go from 1415 to 1491. And that is not at a half year, that is a full year. So when you go down to 7, so they do the first 7 years. From 7 to 10, your wage is frozen. 7 and then 10 to 15, your wage is frozen. And then you have a top out. at 20 years.
So how are they factoring in evaluation to that? You're just not eligible
That-
for the full step if your evaluation is poor? Because what it's basically doing is 75 cents a year, pretty much.
Yes.
But what you can do in your definition of your pay schedule is you could give a merit step increase, and so you could say, instead of this year you're gonna get a 3, we're gonna give you a 4 because you did such a fantastic job. And what you've done is you just elevated. And it's all on how, when we set up a pay schedule, it's all on how you want to define it. But that's normally the way, I'm familiar with the federal government, that's the way they do it. They give you merit increases by just moving you up a step.
Mm-hmm.
I only brought this as a base for you guys, something to
I'm
go
in
off of.
So
favor
as a
of this as
guideline,
an
as a
ideology.
guideline, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's good,
Yeah.
because a lot of corporations or businesses do it this
Yeah.
way. That way then you got, that's like you said, federal government, I worked in business, they did the same
Right.
thing.
Well, and everybody, all employees will be able to look at this and they'll know how they're gonna go. And
Well,
they'll
then,
also
and one
know
thing I was talking
what
about
that merit
before too,
raise means.
I think
Right.
you should get a little more if you've been there 10 years than some kid hiring on. It makes as much
Absolutely.
a guy's been there 10 years, or
It's-
just, then that guy's been there 10 years.
But the problem, even with this, your wage is frozen at 10 years. So when you're frozen for 3 years,
We can
and the
change
minimum
that.
wage is, or the starting salary is up, but I'm saying
Yeah.
if you're frozen where you've reached your wage, but when you reevaluate this every year, so in the year 2019, the 10-year person is at X, then it makes sense.
Well, but we can
I
create
think
our
when
own
they're
schedule.
frozen though, they still get a cost of living.
Yes, they do.
Because, a lot of the state employees will say, well, I'm frozen, but then they say they got a raise. Well, they're frozen at the step level, but they,
Cost of living goes.
They get a cost of living, but they also do, depending on, say what the budget is, like just as, I want to say last year, 2018, I believe, because I still have a lot of friends that work up there, they actually got like a bonus, and so it was equivalent to like your, I don't know, I remember, I know I got one shortly after I got there, and I'm like,
instead of giving cost of living raises, they gave them a bonus each year. So then it was just a one-time only thing. Some
Correct.
counties are doing that too.
correct, and it wasn't
Because if
though
you-
every year, they've been frozen for 8 years
Yeah.
at their same wage.
But if you gave a 50 cents a year raise, the next year you have to pay the 50 cents, where if they give them the bonus, you're only paying
Right.
it the one time.
Right.
So there was quite a few counties that decided to
And then
do
it
that.
depends on your budget at the end of the year. If you were short a few employees for a while, that actually creates a slush fund from which you can give bonuses. I mean, there's a way to
Yeah.
work those numbers
Yeah.
a little better.
Yeah,
You'd have to write up your financial manual, would have all that in there, and it wouldn't necessarily be this, you could write it in.
yeah, this was, actually, this here was part of our handbook. They I mean,
Yeah.
it was, and I can see that was updated for 2019, so they
This
did
one, yeah.
finally do a pay increase, that they actually got a raise, because it has been frozen since I left there. That's a long time. So,
Well,
I mean, that
it
was
all
just
depends on
something
the
to kind of
finance
give you
is
to,
available. That's
Yeah,
what it
yeah.
comes down
It
to.
was just something for you to kind of go off, is the
Well,
only
yeah, we
reason
talked
I-
about a step plan, and that,
Exactly.
to me, the incentive should also be training.
Yeah.
You know, when you said you're on your way to like a 1.5 step, the second half of the step should be to complete some sort of training or cross training or have some sort of more responsibility. I mean,
Well, it's just in that first year, it's just, do you have your job kind of down? Not, a lot of people, they say you will know your job within 3 years. But, I'm just saying, you should have it,
Within the first
hopefully
year, you
within
ought to
that
have a
time.
good
You're just
idea.
still kind of learning.
You ought to have an idea what you're doing.
But a guy that
Yeah,
drives
but
a
they,
dump
and it
truck
goes off at,
bulldozer is worth more than a
Yeah.
guy that drives either one of them.
right. And
Yeah.
I don't think you should be able to just get from step 2 to 3 by staying for 365 days. I mean, anybody can just hang out. It's not
But it
about
also
that.
kind of goes off their merit as well. And that's what I should have asked Todd, is if they're not satisfactory on their.
What happened? Yeah, are they not eligible for the next step then? Maybe you have to.
I almost want to say that they go anyway, because you're almost kind of like when you get your evaluation, if it's not good, that's almost kind of being reprimanded in a way. You know what I mean? Like this, you better work on. You need to improve, and we'll look at it again in 6 months.
That'd be great
Type
to
of
get
thing.
their handbook to see how they do it, and then we can adjust
Yeah.
ours. But it's the rationale, and I'm
Yeah.
sure they have rationale, and we just need to develop our own rationale.
Yeah.
how we're gonna
And it doesn't
do
have to be so
And
many
I agree with
steps.
what Jim just said too, you could have like a certification thing, say if a guy's just driving a grader, but if you grader and a dump truck and a backhoe, that means I would give him another step maybe there because
Yeah, they're learning
because you
all
can
three. They're cross-trained.
Because someday if the backhoe guy's gone, the grader guy can stop and do that, and
Yeah.
that's worth a lot, having that cross training.
And we have guys that do that
and that's
right now.
and that's good because they
Yes.
multi-train, and then we
Yeah.
can help each other out on any project.
Yeah.
And then that's what
Yeah.
we ought to really promote that more.
We can
Cross
see their
training.
rationale, their handbook on this,
Yeah.
that'd probably help us out a good bit. And that gives us a place to start anyway. 'Cause we're gonna
Yeah,
have to
we
develop
could
something.
put that in our handbook. Maybe I don't know if we want to put the valuations
We
in the
paid
handbook.
for many years ago pay classification plan, but they never could increase it, but I think it included a step, so we could dig that thing back out and just kind of look at it.
Was that part of your handbook originally, Don?
No, the commissioners paid, the League of Municipalities is who we got the company from,
Oh,
and it may have even been the league, came out and they paid $1,000 or maybe a little bit more to have them do a pay classification plan. Then they also, look at private industry, surrounding counties, life-size counties, and they put together a pay plan, which also included a step plan. But the commissioners at the time, like, we were $5 an hour less than competitive wages. So they said we can never get there, and they wouldn't even look at a plan to get us there eventually. I mean, you don't have to turn around and do it the next year, you just have to work towards a goal, but they just scrapped it completely.
Well, you can start your plan low enough to accommodate what you're.
Well, we have to base it on what we're paying now. I mean, we can't
Yeah.
base it on future pay, you have to base it on the realistic numbers.
where we're
But
starting,
it might
Yeah.
give you kind of
Yeah.
something, I
guidelines.
How-
Well,
Haven't
and your
looked at it
step
forever,
doesn't have to
but-
be every year. You can be here for 2 years. You can be there for 3 years. You can, it doesn't have to be every single year.
Well, the
Well,
steps don't have to be age or annual dependent, they can be a combination of things. But yeah, if we could see that schedule.
And if I understand that right, so somebody could be in classification 9 and move to classification 10 based upon, say, for example, your number of equipment training.
Cross-training type things.
Yep.
But because that's kind of what I understand they do is classify them like that. So like some of the counties have equipment operator number 1, equipment operator 2, equipment
Right.
operator 3, and they classify the employees, but they can grow to be in
Right.
equipment operator
So
number 2.
if you stay
Right,
a truck driver all your life and don't cross out, then you'd stay in 9 forever.
right,
But if you start cross training, and pretty soon you're in 10 and 11.
Right.
And you have all numbers.
Yeah, I'd give them a different higher grade.
right,
That'd give people an incentive to learn more stuff.
right.
Yeah.
As of right now, Schoolin County is not paying for cross-training.
Well, I know, but we're going to, we like cross
Oh,
training.
yeah, where are you gonna get the money?
No, well, a lot of it's
Raise your
on-site
tax,
training,
that's
too.
Yeah.
Hey, sure.
No, I think we can do it with our existing budget.
Yeah, I think we can do it.
This is where a human relations person is very beneficial.
Yeah,
They can be bringing you all kinds of samples of things that you're doing and what is
Okay.
current. and-
Well, we're planning on getting one.
Do you need
and
to
getting
start
the evaluation
advertising
of
for positions
personnel.
over there? Does
Yeah,
Don do that for you? You write them up or?
Oh,
I don't write anything down.
that reminds me, Dawn, we need to have the personnel come in that we did their evaluations, which would be,
We're doing it.
who didn't come in?
Ray and Struts.
Yes.
And you guys still need to do Jerry Phillips. I have this form. Didn't do any. Well, I think, yeah. Maybe you did do
We did
his. But you need to meet with him. Actually, no, I don't
We-
think you did.
He was in-
We met with Phil Brick, but we
Yeah.
didn't, but that was about time clock issue or something. wasn't it?
Oh, it was
Just
Mr.
normal
Doe and
evaluation.
Mr. Ellis.
Yeah, you did.
Okay,
That wasn't
okay.
his evaluation, I guess.
but again, this comes back to having a board. I mean, what is the point of this board? Are we gonna keep this board, or, that's a whole different discussion, but we have a few minutes. Did you have something else for your department?
Yeah, well, I would like to ask for executive session.
How long do you need? 10
Fif-
minutes?
10,
15?
well, we might be able to 10, 15 minutes, yes.
Let's just go ahead for 15, that way we don't have to
Okay.
break again. And this is
Then we're
pertaining
gonna go-
to, is this
then
a
we're
health
breaking for
issue?
lunch.
Health,
Several,
Personnel issues?
yeah.
but I need a subject, so it would be under personnel, but it also needs to have is this health
maybe-
related? Is this job performance related?
Yes,
Job performance.
One on that and one on resignation.
Well, are they already resigned?
No.
Just put
Yeah,
employee-
job performance and
employee issue,
personal concerns, or,
something
okay.
like
Okay. I move to recess into executive session for 15 minutes for the purpose of discussing highway department, employee concerns, and job performance pursuant to KSA 75-4319 2B number 1, personnel matters of non-elected personnel. To reconvene in the commission room with the commissioners and acting director of the highway department, Liz Lee. That's right. That's my middle name. I should remember that.
that. A second.
It's been moved and seconded for a 15-minute executive session. Are there any questions or discussion? If not,
Aye.
those in favor vote aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
As long as management's in charge, we're happy.
You're doing a good job. I know it's tough right now.
Well, I still
You still got other stuff?
You
not
just-
decided.
You just
No.
turn that upside down.
Yeah.
Yeah, please.
No, I gotta give this to Dawn. That is an application for another, so, I don't know, did we solve anything? We get done?
I guess so, yeah. You updated
Well,
it good.
A weekly schedule is more than we've ever received
Yeah.
in my 2.5 years, so I'm pleased, very pleased.
Yeah, and I agree. You would help. us.
Again, this was really for my benefit.
But
That's all I'm
but
saying.
That's all we want for our benefit too, so we know what's
Yeah.
going on there. And that's all we've ever asked. You know, we just want to know what's going on there, what the projects are, because we get asked that, Liz. And so
Yeah.
that's all. We're not
Well,
trying
it may not make people happy as far as where we're at in our whatever productivity.
Well, I
No,
know
this
we-
makes sense because
Well-
we're now working on the old project, which we had previously approved. There was some weather. We decided what to do. Culverts first. I mean, that's all appropriate, and it's within
Yeah.
it's within an acceptable time frame.
And also, we've had
That's a
this
first.
severe weather since last October. You got a meanest winter and spring and the early summer that we had in years, and that's hell for you guys. We know that. There's a lot of people complaining. Well, a lot of people. There's about the same 5% of people always going to complain. It seems like, out in the country.
Yeah.
So, but you're doing good, I think.
So we need to talk about positions quickly before we're already way over. What you'd like to advertise. Because we already have the job descriptions.
Well, I think we need a mechanic,
So I had a
bridge crew foreman, and because I do have an application for that.
Don't you still have Walting and Panzer and mechanics?
Colton Panzer, he
quit.
resigned.
Did Colton resign? No, I didn't know that. When did that happen?
Week ago.
Thursday?
Oh, I never heard that.
Yep.
Everybody knows
So-
but me, I guess.
I was. Well, I think no. We talked
Well,
about
I
the
figured
meter.
she would report on it today, so that's not really my place to.
Yeah, we
Oh,
haven't
I'm not-
got
I'm
there
not.
yet.
Don, I'm not harassing you.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, that's fine. Thank
So
you.
Colton, and I told you the possible, that's why, yeah. But yes, so now to finish up, Colton had resigned.
So that leaves who in the shop?
Lance.
Lance Walton.
Yes.
So, bridge crew foreman, I have an application for that, and there hasn't been anything posted. And mechanic, and
Jesse's position. I guess we just say equipment operator, Trent Hall, truck driver.
yeah. And, I mean,
You said somebody else going to quit in September.
possibly.
Possibly,
that's
And that
probably
would
two
be
equipment operators.
Blade.
Yes. Yeah, heavy equipment operator. Two. Mechanic. My question was, it had been brought up to me a long time ago, but we had already had people in the shop. You know, what is the potential of taking two people's jobs and making it one there?
If a person can handle it.
But I'm talking money-wise. I mean, we can't just keep thinking 40 hours a week. I mean, if someone needs to be there, they don't get the Friday off or whatever, and they're getting a salary that's supporting an entire family because they are a skilled mechanic. Do you see what I'm saying?
If you get somebody to do that, not everybody wants to do 70 hours a week or 60.
I originally had 3 people and a tire and fuel guy, so we had 4 people, and they downsized to 2. I think if you go much more below 2, you're outsourcing every repair job that you have.
Well, and I'm not saying to take Lance out of the shop as much as put someone in there who's going to comprehensively do everything. And if and when he's needed to do the jobs he can do, he's there. And if not, I mean, does he have a CDL? You have to have a CDL to be in the highway department, correct?
He does.
You know what I'm saying?
He fills in. Like he will jump on a blade if need be, and he does fill in.
Yeah, Lance is
that.
good at a lot of things.
Yeah, but your dilemma is going to be if you want somebody in that position, you're going to have to pay somebody who's certified. I'm talking certified, and you're talking probably $26, $7, $8 an hour.
Mechanic. Yeah, for a big,
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Professional.
If not more.
Well, and I'm to the point where I've seen enough budgets and I've seen the layout enough times that we're not rewarding the employees to do more or to stay more. We're out spending money on brand new equipment. So, we have to make a choice. It can't be both. So we can't keep having them say $13, $14 an hour isn't enough for me to stay here or to want to put any more time or effort in. But keep the people who will stay just because it's a brand new piece of equipment. There's something to be said for a compromise there. Make more money.
I don't believe people are staying because there's a brand new blade sitting there. They're not. That has nothing to do with anything, honestly, in my opinion.
Then why are
I don't believe they're going to stay for a new blade. I believe what it was trying to be cost effective down the way.
Which has worked out how?
Well,
not at all, because we failed to make the last 2 purchases, and they failed to calculate that by the time we were buying the last round, we would then need to also purchase in the same year the upgrade from the original purchase. So that was a disaster of a monetary investment. Disaster.
That I
That
wouldn't
was
know
before
about.
you.
All I know
That
is
was
that
before you
is
and me.
how that was supposed to work.
And
But-
it didn't at all because it wasn't done properly.
So it's not. People are not
But I'm saying
working
what
for the
is-
highway department to drive a new blade.
I said staying for. I said
Staying for a new blade.
Right.
Okay.
So what my point is, would you rather have the money and work with a little less piece of equipment, less quality piece of equipment?
As long
or-
as the equipment does its job.
That's
As long
what
as
I'm
it doesn't
saying.
break
So
down.
we need to decide where we need to invest in the equipment and how we need to invest in the employees, because there's a disproportionate investment that has been happening for the past 4 years. I mean, $500,000 every year in brand new equipment is a lot of pay that hasn't been going to our guys.
As long as we got reliable equipment, though, you don't want to drive worn out stuff either.
But that's where the mechanic comes in too.
Yeah,
I mean,
but
there's
they
an
can-
advantage to having older equipment sometimes because you can actually work on it in house.
That's depending on it.
They do
And a
minimum
lot of that
stuff.
stuff goes obsolete pretty dang quick too.
Well,
And then you're.
depends on how old it is.
It does, but I mean, yes. Right now everything is on everything is guaranteed.
A lot of
I
warranty.
mean, we're on a
Yeah.
warranty,
You got
yes.
Some warranty now, so you have a.
But there's
that-
also a price
that-
to pay for that.
That's,
So
yeah,
it's-
there was a price, but
Yeah.
There is,
But if you have an engine go out after 2 years, then Foley may still
Yeah.
warranty it. Whereas
Well,
if
the
we,
bulldozer is a perfect example. We have
well, that was an accidental
insurance
thing. There.
coverage.
Yeah, insurance
so
covered that.
because
but
it's,
you're also talking the equipment gets run pretty dang hard.
Yeah, a lot of
too.
hours.
I
Lot
mean,
of hours.
and nothing lasts forever.
No, we know that.
yeah, but the newer stuff lasts less time. That's-
Yeah, but I
that's
wonder
a
why
pretty-
that is. That has nothing to do with us and what we're doing. Anybody.
Yeah.
No, but it's a
It
decision
does.
to invest in it or not.
Yeah.
That's all. It's the investment.
But I think in
decision.
any of the old stuff, you're not going to find the parts and pieces.
Well, if it's real
That's-
old, no.
Yeah, I think that's where the problem lies a lot of the time.
Well, that is specific to each piece of
Yeah.
equipment. I don't
Yeah.
want to overbeat that
Yeah.
bush, but I just am saying
Yes.
maybe we need to look at what our pay scale is here heading into the end of the year, set up our tiers, put out these advertisements,
Maybe have less, smaller crew, but pay them more.
exactly.
But then they know they have more responsibility to do more.
Exactly.
But you have to find the people willing to do that.
Yeah.
Especially if you go over 40 hours. Some of them only want to do their 40 hours, maybe.
You get 40 hours of work, I'd be happy.
Yeah.
Right.
And again, we always run into the weather issue, because if it rains 2 inches, the blade guy, he can't be blading. So what do they just go to the shop that day and work on equipment usually, or whatever?
Believe it or not, there are barricades to be built. I mean, that is sign shop. No, that's the time when we have people go in and inventory the sign shop, inventory the tires, go back into the parts room. I mean, they're scattered
So you
within
have
there. Truly, they really are.
So you have a schedule for rainy days of stuff to do.
Yes.
Good.
And at
Well,
one
that's
time,
good.
the one list that was up there, it did get complete. But
That's
the
great.
other thing is that we probably were going to paint the inside of the shop because it is absolutely disgusting.
That's
It
fine.
probably needs a little bit of work, but to really wash everything down and then let it dry and then paint it. And,
Yeah. Well, that's good, because some people are wondering, like when it rains, like we had a lot of rain this last winter and spring, and they're wondering, what are all these highway guys doing when it's raining? They can't be out blading or hauling gravel or bulldozing. And I did never
and
really
if they
know
can
for
be
sure.
on the roads, even checking them,
Yeah.
they are checking them to
Yeah.
make sure of a washout or flagging something or whatever. I mean, we're
Yeah.
just,
Sure. Well, that's good. I know that.
And then a lot of the guys, if they're, if they choose not to clean or what have you, like clean the trucks or whatever, they'll just say, hey, I'm going to go ahead and take the day off, and they'll take a vacation day. But
Yeah, okay. Well, that's fine. All right. So do you have anything else? That's enough.
I don't believe so.
I guess we
Go
were,
forth and do good.
we're half, we were gonna take an hour
Well, we
off.
can push
I'll
this back to
decide.
1:30 if you want to.
Okay, that's fine with me.
It's
up to you.
Whatever, I don't really need an hour, but, well, yeah, and I'll tell Shelley. Well, that's
I don't
fine.
either. I mean,
I wanna visit with you after a bit. Non-commission stuff.
Okay. I am. I actually am going to try to go catch the last of the family
Go get 'em.
at that funeral.
Okay. Well, thanks for coming here and supporting us. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
So we wanna take the adjourn for a little while,
yeah.
or take
Do you wanna
a
do
recess or whatever?
Yeah, you want to recess for half an hour?
Okay.
Wanna eat?
Or,
You want 45 minutes?
You wanna eat?
yeah. I
We
think
were
I'm
scheduled
good
to
with
start
it.
again at 1, but
We
it's
were gonna
already
get- well,
12:30
well,
something.
We were gonna get off at 12, but we drug it out.
What I'm gonna do is call a grocery store and have them make me a sandwich.
I think I'll write.
Cheese, lettuce, tomato, mayo.
All right, so I think I'll go. I think I need to run down.
Okay, I'll recess us for 45 minutes.
45 minutes. Okay.
Okay.
So that's about.
About 20 after 1.
Okay.
So you don't want a sandwich? Anybody want a sandwich?
Okay, I will reconvene the meeting and correspondence before we get going with the rest of the agenda. I did get a note this morning sent to me. The Sylvan Senior Center has like a little bit of a dangerous situation with the building next door is collapsing.
Roof collapsed, yeah.
Mhm.
Misty's.
Right, so they would like to dedicate some of their money that they already received in funding for their budget to going ahead and moving forward into getting into that different building. I guess it's not like anything formal that we need to do, but it was kind of a notification that that's what they intend to do at this time, because they had proposed for their budget the certain overhead expenses that we were covering when we gave them the budget. So they were just notifying us that they intend to use some of that money to just go ahead and get transferred over, because they had sent a letter, and I think we received that letter to the neighbor, the owner of the building next door, and nothing has been done, and the insurance is not going to cover
Well, you know what?
anything but liability.
The intervening wall is not waterproof.
I know, it's an
So if
interior.
it rains, it's gonna flood out the current senior center, so I think we ought to tell them with all speed, dispatch,
Yeah,
get your stuff done.
okay. I just wanted to relay that as correspondence.
It'll be that we just gave them with that 24,000.
Right.
That was
But
the
they'll be
roof.
using that.
Yeah.
I don't think all
Well,
of
they
it.
had all that anyway.
They
right?
had the
Everything.
roof done with partial grant and partial funding from their private savings
Yeah, they
and
had
all
their
their
own
fundraisers,
savings.
but they're now talking about maybe using some of their last year's budget or this year's budget money to go ahead and move everything
They
and
should
get
do
things
that.
They're gonna
going
move over there, you mean?
As quick
as
as
soon
they
as
can.
possible.
They're
Yeah.
just- They're gonna lose everything they got if they have another big rainstorm.
Yeah, it is really bad. The whole last quarter to third of that roof on beside them is
Yeah.
on the ground, so that's a problem. And then we have a letter here dated August 5th to the commissioners. It is with much regret that I'm giving my 2-week notice. I have accepted a position with Jennifer O'Hare as her assistant. This work is not new to me as I worked 10 years combined with Saline County Attorney's Office, Court Services Office, and Judge Patrick Thompson. I have really enjoyed working for the Highway Department, and I feel I have brought a lot of positive things to this department. I loved working for Michael and Bob and feel they were wonderful bosses in spite of what some people think. Now that they have gone, I feel this is not the place for me. Thank you again and best wishes with the Highway Department and all of the changes. Sincerely, Sherry Liz Lee.
Is that for immediate departure?
It says 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
So that would be the 19th. The 19th.
So we need to start thinking about who the chief's gonna be over there then. Because they belong to us, the chief does. So we gotta figure out who's gonna be in charge. We're certainly not gonna hire anybody.
Right.
They wouldn't know nothing if we did hire somebody there. That's fine.
Yeah. Okay, shall we move on with the agenda and then we will discuss, maybe let's discuss this on Thursday and come up with any ideas or talk to anyone that you can think of in the meantime. But Thursday, we're having a special meeting anyway to go over our applications. Dawn, did we receive more than 5 now? We were at 5 on last Monday.
6 on
6.
Friday, I believe.
Okay, so we have 6 applications to go through for the highway department, and then
We
we
can
can talk about.
discuss all of it.
Right. Right.
Okay.
So, Mr. Gableman, you had specifically requested the Lincoln Park Manor discussion, and I have your letter
Mr.
here.
Grace sent me that letter that I gave you a copy of.
Yes.
He sent that on my email the other day. And I've got some thoughts about the nursing home that I think we need to discuss and figure out where we're gonna go and how we're gonna do it. I believe myself that the county should not be in private enterprise business competing with private enterprise. So we should not, as a county, own and operate that nursing home. We could potentially for up to maybe a year as a transitory thing, but I really don't want to do that if I can. Mr. Grace is correct in his letter that time is running short. We're only talking 9 months, so we're going to do stuff. So I sat down and come up with 2 options that's going to cost us money, but we're going to have to spend some money anyway. The first option is one you've heard before, and that's to purchase Mr. Grace out with whatever he wants. Insist that he provide us with a license on the way out the door. Insist that the current administrator stay for up to a year, because that administrator works for John Grace, and we wouldn't have to look for a license and administrator. But it's going to cost a significant amount of money to buy him out. I developed another option that's still going to cost money, and that is to give John Grace that building. And with the building, we give him 2 years of maintenance money, which is $100,000 a year, which is what we have programmed. And let him have the whole thing, and then it's his nursing home, and he can do with what he wants. If it's not a viable operation, he'll close it and it'll go away. If it's a viable operation, he'll either keep it or he'll sell it, but we'll be out of the business. We'll be out $200,000. If we don't do anything and continue to march, we're going to be out maintenance for that. And as I see it now, it's probably going to close in any case. If we try to run it, I don't think we can, and I don't think in the long term it's going to help us out. So I recommend getting us out of the nursing home business and letting John Grace have it to do with what he wants. I recommend the option where we give him the building and 2 years of maintenance and say go away.
And after 2 years, it'll just close it and we have nothing, huh?
Then it's not a viable business, it's gonna close anyway. If we took it over after 2 years, it's still gonna be closed. So we might as well give him our little money and let him close it.
Well,
and run with it.
I disagree with that. We could keep it open. The
At
state,
what cost?
well, the state, if we get somebody to run it, like you have a board, like you was planning on doing before, and having an administrator, we may have to chip in some money. We already put $120,000 a year for the facility, but I'm afraid it would close. It'd be a tremendous hit to this county on what the asset is worth. I've been through this before, what it's worth. We give that hospital up there is a lot more expensive than that nursing home, and we have a lot more employees. We don't have more employees in the hospital, but we have 25 employees there. We got $2 million cash flow. We got 33 residents. That most of their families are from here. That place spends money to the hospital, to you, to the pharmacy, to the grocery store. It's just too valuable, and I'm afraid if you sold the whole business and then it doesn't work, closed down 2 years, you're going to half this county, half this city would leave.
Well,
And so, okay, well, then let's cut the whole goddamn budget in half and just have no county employees and let Lincoln look like Beverly in 5 years. If that's your attitude, that ain't my attitude.
well, the option is, the first option, where you pony up about $600,000 and the county owns it.
Yeah.
And then
Okay,
you're gonna be running it at whatever cost you want forever.
And he isn't. I don't think we'd lose that much money. It may cost $100,000 or $200,000 a year. Grace isn't losing money, or he'd be giving us a 90-day notice now and walking away. He ain't losing money. He's got 33 people up there for residents. They make about 170, 180 a day they get paid, which is about 108. I figured out it's like 2.1 million. It's like 180,000 a month he's getting. It's for fees for residencies for full pay, Medicare, Medicaid. But he can't pay us $3,500 in a rent, but he makes $180,000 a month gross. And so he's making money. He wouldn't, if he wouldn't be, we'd walk away. So I think even if we had to take it over, we wouldn't be losing that much. And it may subsidize, we may have to subsidize it some. We have subsidized at hospital $600,000 a month now. They have
year.
a year, I mean, yeah, I'm sorry. Or 580 last year. But anyway, they only have 2-3 patients in that hospital at any one time.
Well, that windmill's coming down the road too, trust me on that.
Well, and I know, and we have economic development, and Kelly does a good job. And I'm just saying, if we get one business in town, and with employees, 2-3 people, we think that's great, and we celebrate and have a ribbon cutting out for it. But we're saying, well, in 2 years, if it doesn't work, we'll get rid of 25 people and a $2 million cash flow, and 33 residents, which are mostly from this area, and their family want them here. You know, if that thing would close, that'd be a hell of a hit to this county. And I'm saying, so if we have to pay $200,000 to $300,000 a year to keep it going, I'd be for that. Now, some people may not be, but I would be, because of the value it's bringing us here. You would want to see, if U.S. Towers says, Lincoln, we're going to leave. Now, they're a private company, and they got 25, I don't know how many employees they got, but I'm just saying, you wouldn't want to see them leave, because it's a big hit to our county. We're trying to get people to move here. We're trying to get population for the schools and everything. And if we just let that go away, God, well, that'd be a tremendous hit. And I know I don't want to pay a lot to keep it either, but I wouldn't mind subsidizing some of it. And maybe even own it. Or if not, keep owning the facility and maybe get an administrator to outrun it like we have now. But
We went through this.
I know, but I just don't want to see it closed because it would be, and I there's a sentimental reason, of course. We have family and grandmas up there and this and that. Not my grandma, but people's are. And I know that's not a reason to keep something and spend county money on. But financially, it's a hell of a big asset to this county. And you got to not just look at what it costs and and that look at how all that transitions to all the other businesses and people in town.
If it's a viable business, and Mr. Grace is making money on it,
Well,
he's not gonna sell it. If he does sell it, he'll sell it to somebody else, it'll still be a viable business.
Well, I know what you're saying. I'm saying if we sell the facility and give him the keys to everything, in 2 years he walks away. We have no say-so.
Okay, so if I may interject, we cannot just give the building away. It's not, statutorily we can't.
But we could sell it cheap though. If that's what he's kind of insinuating, I think. You can sell it to him for $10,000, which would be like giving it away.
But I think it's about the appraisal value of the building. So if the appraisal value is greater than 50,000, I don't think we can do it without a public vote. I think the public has to approve of that. Just as a, I'm just
Yeah,
interjecting
agree.
here
Yeah, you
with
might
the
be,
conversation.
you may be right, Alexis, but I'm saying we could sell it cheap, probably.
We could sell it cheap, but I'm saying if the appraisal value of the property is greater than $50,000, which I assume it would be, then I don't think we can do anything without public
Yeah,
consent.
well, and I agree with that. I
And
mean, yeah,
maybe
we
they would
can't just
vote
say,
for
we
it. I'm
can't just
just-
sign it over to them. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's more of a process than that.
Yeah.
And I don't know what that facility's really worth, because, it's made for the nursing home and,
Well, if you put it up for auction, then you find out what it's worth.
yeah, that's true. Actually, that west half is pretty new and is really good condition, or pretty good condition. The east part, which has been renovated, right, Alexis? You guys renovated that, a lot of that eastern part.
Well, a lot
The
of it was
kitchen
a lot
around
of it
it.
was electrical, but yes, there was some.
So a lot of that's been
renovations.
fixed up, but it is old, I know that, and we have to pay, we got 100,000, 120,000 we use for repair and maintenance every year. It is expensive, but I just see it as an asset for the people it supports as a service and the income it gives the county.
And it's gonna be a net loss to the county, it's not a net income.
No, I know, but having all them people, not direct, you're right, directly maybe financial wise it is a direct loss. But, so is, the hospital, we're giving them 500 grand a year and we're not getting
That's
that.
an issue that's gonna come up pretty soon too.
And I am for the hospital, I'm not saying turn it down, I'm just saying.
You're comparing the revenue.
We don't
and the-
need,
and the
we could make decisions not to
subsidy.
have any services. We could get rid of all these services and just say then the taxpayers would be the hack as hell, they'd have to pay no taxes, but we'd have no services. And that's what decisions you gotta make. How much tax and how much services. And where's the happy medium there,
Well, do you wanna resurrect the nonprofit board, have them come in here and you can approve their board and give them the nursing home?
I guess, Alexis and I have been through this before, and she was with it with Al, Joe, and Terry a lot. We had meetings before of, we should find out, we had financials on this. This whole book is financials, Jim. I
I
want you
agree,
to.
yeah.
And you haven't seen it
You
because.
got all the data you need.
Well, yeah, and so you should see it, so I think we should maybe go over that again, don't you see, to see how much it would cost us if we did take it over.
Okay, the county cannot outright just purchase a business. That's number one.
No,
We can. I'm just going through what we've talked about with the attorney. We cannot outright purchase a business. The state will not just give a voluntary board of Lincolnites a nursing home license. That's number two. So that nonprofit, we were advised not to engage in that relationship because the state is not going to give a facility license from John Grace over to a group of citizens, good-hearted and well-intentioned, but not nursing home operators, regardless of your intention or not to continue a relationship with Mr. Grace, which I personally think would be a mistake. Because there has to be a name on the license, and there's where this is the root of the issue. Right now, because John Grace has the license, he's requesting a dollar amount being attached to that license. What everyone needs to know is that it doesn't cost anything to sign that license over. If he wasn't making money, he could walk down here today, sign that paperwork, and then we become the license holder for $0.
But
Him
then we're in
attaching,
the business of running the nursing home.
I understand that, but
Well-
we also have the option to appoint a board, just like we do the hospital.
You can appoint a board.
Appoint that board, and then they have a relationship with the administrator, and we do not.
And you can hire a
Which would be
hospital,
my
you can
preference.
hire a hospital, management company to do it, which is what Grace is. We could hire somebody else like Grace, Jim, and still,
Understand that.
yeah.
I still think we need to file in court and put in a civil injunction on this situation to notify everyone that he's in debt. Because Mr. Grace and whatever company of his 6 is running it, if and when they are financially insolvent, then the state has an obligation to step in. And at that point, our relationship with the state becomes evident. At this point, we're still waiting on correspondence, are we not? We sent that letter 3 weeks ago. So we sent a letter to K-Dads 3 weeks ago that has gone without response. And I've considered going there just myself, but I don't know if that's out of line as a single commissioner, and getting some face-to-face contact with these people because they're new in that department. They're all appointed by the new governor and hired then, in succession underneath that new administration. We need some answers from the state because that's who holds the power. They have the power to change over the license. And if Mr. Grace or his companies, whichever one is running it, is financially insolvent, then they have an obligation to step in. We're not helping ourselves by not suing him because
I understand
then we don't show any debt on the table. If there's debt on the table and there's a judgment in our favor, then he has to pay his bills.
Why haven't we sued him?
I've
2
moved.
years back.
I've moved for it.
Well, and I
it
held
hasn't
off
happened.
because I thought maybe we could, partly my fault, I guess.
Well,
Because I
it's-
thought I could talk to him, and not necessarily keep him on, because he hasn't paid his rent for over a year and a half now. That right there is just, I'm sorry, doesn't show good faith.
Mm-hmm.
And he's making the income, he's getting it 100, he's got 33 patients up there, and they're paying
And
six,
they've cut
$7,000
back
a
on
month.
staffing.
So he's got
They-
cash coming in there.
Right.
But now you've got a time crunch here.
Yeah, I know.
If you sue him, that goes to court.
That'd drag out forever.
And that his lease runs out in 9 months. When that lease runs out, we intend to terminate.
Yeah, but our next letter to the Secretary of KDAD says we are now in a lawsuit with our current operating company, and we would like you to expedite the licensing
Well,
transfer to
But they're
us.
gonna say it's a continuing lawsuit and we can't do anything till that lawsuit settles.
Not necessarily, because come May,
They
what
would,
is it, May 20th?
23rd.
I don't think they'd let it close. We could
It
say
doesn't
we're,
matter if we're in a lawsuit on May 20th or 23rd or not, that's over.
we can appeal and
Then who has the nursing home?
Well,
Well-
state would take it over. They've taken over 20 of them last year, and they got other people come in to operate them, and then they transitioned on. We went through that, right? We called that a lady, Lexus. They had 20 last year. Only one of them closed permanently because the facility had structural problems. They couldn't open back up. Out of the other 20 others, the state came in, found other operators, and they transitioned and let them operate. Some of the operators that they took in, the state temporarily put in there, kept running it, and some of them just temporarily did, then they got another permanent one. So the state will help us keep it open if we want to.
How long will the state run it?
Well, I don't know. That's a good
Because-
question.
They look for a buyer.
If they
That's-
can't find a buyer, and we've been looking for a buyer here for 2 years and nobody's even interested.
We haven't solicited.
We really
for
haven't
anything.
went for a buyer. We could,
And
yeah.
If I was a buyer, I wouldn't come in here and buy it with that split building operation that you have now.
Yeah.
Well,
That,
and I had put together just a generalized, it's called request for proposal, because I was suggesting, once we found out that the previous owner was willing to sell, which we didn't know, you guys weren't here, but I didn't know, no one that I knew. Once we found out that that previous owner was willing to sell, I said, well, package it up, sell the building and the business, have someone come in who wants to run the whole thing, take care of the whole thing. It kind of gets the county out of that
yeah.
obligation.
Right.
And, basically there was already a deal happening where the business was going to be sold, unbeknownst to us that we were at a loss for not having our name on the license. If we had had our name on the license, none of this would even be, we wouldn't even be talking about this for the last 2 years.
Well, I still believe if we weren't involved in that building, it would be much more attractive to an outside party to come in and buy it.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to unload that building on somebody. And if we give it to John Grace, sell it, whatever, he will own the whole operation. He will have a thing of value there, and he's not gonna walk away from a thing of value. If he closes it, he's gonna lose the money and all the assets. He'll try to sell it.
Well, why don't we sell it to him, not give it to him?
You can. How much is he willing to pay for it? That's the thing.
Well, we need to
We
talk to
have
him
to
about
see what the
that.
appraisal value is.
Have you talked to him about this letter?
I talked to him, and he said he's gonna send a letter. He called me up, said, I'm gonna send you a letter. I said, "Send it."
Well, we should have Alexis and I had a meeting with him a couple months ago, and he gave us this, and I was gonna, executive session
Well, yeah,
stuff.
but that's just.
But that showed us, remember that, Alexis? Remember, he had those.
Yeah, it was like an email, yeah.
No, he gave us this in the meeting, or was that the email? But we did talk to him about
Yeah.
accounts payable, remember, and how much.
If you price that building sufficiently attractive, he'll buy it.
Well, then, if he did take it over, then he owes us currently approximately 50 grand in back pay, rent. I guess he owes the hospital 30 grand or something for, I don't know, the laundry services.
They should be suing him as well. There was a motion in their meeting to take him to court to get paid, and
When we
they
sit
didn't
down
pass
and
it.
get down to really serious negotiation about that building, Grace, team, we need to get all these things on the table. There ought to be an equitable solution for everybody in there.
Well, right now, he gave us an offer here to buy it. We could buy it from him, a certain amount of cash, and then we'd have to take over his accounts payable, which would be a considerable amount, and for the license, and then we would get it. But we didn't talk selling him the building, but we could again. and if he'd take it over, but then he'd be running the whole thing and own the building.
Well, yeah,
And,
he would have a viable building, it would have some value.
What would you think,
And
Alexis? You want to talk to him about doing that?
Well, I want to read you this.
Maybe we should wait for.
This is the state statute. Except for any property belonging to a county law enforcement department and is otherwise provided in this section, no property, the value of which is more than $50,000, so I was right on that, belonging to any county shall be sold or disposed of by any board of county commissioners without a unanimous vote of the commissioners and a public notice of such sale or disposition. Such notice shall state the time and date of the sale or disposition, or the date after which the property will be offered for sale or disposal. The place of the sale or disposition and the terms and the conditions of the sale or disposition. Such notice shall be published at least, once each week for 3 consecutive weeks prior to the sale or disposition of the official newspaper of the county. The property shall be sold or disposed of publicly in the manner deemed prudent by the Board of County Commissioners to the person or entity tendering the highest and best bid as determined by the Board. The Board of County Commissioners shall have the right to reject any or all bids. So basically, we have to bid it out.
So it's auction on the courthouse steps,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
tax property.
yeah,
There's nothing in there we can't meet without any price. That's no trick in there.
right. But I do think that, I think there's another section later that says if we start this process, the public can put a halt on it by doing a petition. And, I mean, it just creates more. But yeah, you're right. I mean, we can definitely do that.
Well, I think if we could,
If within 45 days after the first publication of notice of sale or disposition, a petition signed by not less than 2% of the qualified electors of the county is filed with the county election officer, such property shall not be sold or disposed of unless the proposition of sale or disposal of such property is submitted to a vote of the, there's what I was talking about, getting a public vote. So if there is a petition, then puts an injunction on the process of the open bid auction, like you called it, then the public can put a stop to it through the petition, or at least put it to the vote, and then they vote, yes, we know, yes, we can, or no, we can't. So that's kind of the process.
Not insurmountable.
so we just
No.
couldn't sell it to Mr. Grace out of the blue. We'd have to go through this process. We'd have to do a bid process for anybody to buy it.
So maybe that's what we should start preparing.
But then we're.
If he wants to buy it, he can buy it.
But, yeah,
I mean, I see what you're saying. You're worried about the long term,
Well, I'm
but you have
worried-
to look at it from both ends, because the long term investment for the county may be an exponential subsidy that just increases beyond our capacity. I mean, right now we are unable to increase our budget by more than 1.5%. Even without the tax lid, you're still asking the taxpayers to increase that subsidy every year. So, where is the stability? It doesn't necessarily ever level off.
We're talking 10 or 20% of the budget increase for that nursing home. You got $120,000 a year we're paying out for maintenance, you could avoid that. And you avoid taking it over. I really think we need to let him have it, sell it to him, and then he'll have a viable nursing home or he won't. If it's not viable, it'll close. If it's viable, he'll sell it to somebody and he'll work in the profit.
But if
Well, I'm
he
just saying if
closes,
that works.
You cannot sell it directly to him without putting it out to bid.
No, well, we
That's what she
No,
wants.
no, no, you cannot
We
just
just
sell
read
it
We
to
know.
She just read.
Alexis just read that. We agree with you.
KSA. I think what Randy's trying to say is you're saying just if it's not a viable business, he'll just close it. But what is your economic benefit to the hospital? How many people from the nursing home are going to the hospital? What does it do to our community if the nursing home closes?
I agree. And the question is, how much money do the taxpayers in Lincoln County want to pony up to keep that nursing home open as a county-operated business? $500,000 a year, $600,000 a year? So pick a number in there.
Well, maybe,
Right.
or maybe break even.
You're not gonna break
You
even,
can
I'll
also
guarantee
think
that.
out, you can
Well,
also
Grace-
think outside
Grace-
the box. We're already funding a hospital at a very large rate. Let's look at other counties who have similar situations. There are long-term care units associated with hospitals. Maybe we should look, instead of recreating the wheel here in Lincoln County, that we actually look beyond our own borders to see how are other counties doing it effectively and efficiently.
Well, I know in Marion County, the hospital administrator who's appointed to that position under the county is also the nursing home administrator. So he holds 2 administrative licenses for both facilities, and they coexist with employees.
Is it 2 buildings or?
I believe it is. I haven't been there. I just talked to him on the phone.
I think Kelly, I asked Kelly to come. You was saying you talked with Rooks County, right, about how they operate.
Yeah.
Can you update us on that?
Yeah, I mean, just over the past couple of years, whenever I was in economic development directors' meetings, I've been trying to kind of quiz them in terms of how things operate. And depending on whatever was going on at whatever moment in this whole conversation, but Rooks County, they seem to have a pretty good situation. Talking to a county commissioner and their administrator, who I believe is probably retired by now, they seem to feel like it worked well. It was a county-owned property. It was who had set up a local nonprofit board, and so I've got examples of their bylaws, the management agreement between this nonprofit and the county in terms of the operation of it and the board setup and all that kind of stuff. Their articles of incorporation.
Do you have any idea how the license is set up? Are there multiple parties on the license? Does the county have a license?
This was probably a year ago when
I know.
I talked to them. I believe the county owns the license.
Yeah, that would make sense.
I mean, that would be my guess.
So this-
That's the only secure option for a county-owned facility.
Yeah.
And it appears as if Mr. Grace has gone to find other counties who don't own their licenses and has put the same proposal on the table.
So, does Rooks County then, they have a nonprofit, do they then hire an administrator to run it?
So, yes, the nonprofit has an administrator who
Runs it.
runs the facility.
That's simple. How do they break even or lose money, do you know?
I believe what they had said is they had always operated in the black up until when the state really started going crazy with their Medicaid reimbursements, and that was the only time that they actually had to go to the county and say, we have a cash flow problem. And so the county did step in to help with the cash flow. I mean, I believe they were getting the reimbursements, but the state was so slow with doing that it just really kind of put a crunch on them.
Was that the county that had, like they said that they were taking it out of their commissioner's fund and they kind of looked
Yes.
and realized, like all of the appropriations was budgeted under the commissioners from that county.
Yes, and if they needed a big project, a big, a new roof or something like that, they would pull out of that, whatever that line item was. So for the most part, the way I understood it is the nonprofit pretty much was self-supporting. However, if it came to big things, then the county did have the ability to pay for that kind of stuff.
So they basically are kind of in the black, you're saying, or you break even, or?
I mean, that's what I
Well,
understood.
therein lies the problem of the size of our facility. I will say that. Do you remember how many beds?
Actually, it's pretty, that's the same size. It was 37 beds.
Okay.
I do
We have
remember that.
36, I think,
Yeah.
full.
And they do have.
And we have assisted living. Well, ours could be open.
Yeah.
Well,
And
the
they
problem
also-
is also that there was $200,000 generated in gross revenue from the home health portion of Lincoln Park Manor that has now been funneled out elsewhere and no longer helps to run that entire facility.
Yeah.
So
I know,
you're
well,
looking at a net revenue of I don't know what the net on the 200,000 was, but you're talking about a net revenue loss for sure out of that operation that's already been siphoned. So why are we considering paying someone for a business that they split in half and suctioned off the most profitable portion? I just really think we need to get in contact with the state and really secure the licensing issue, because my reading of the statute says we can be added to the license. If we're added to the license as is, and he no longer wishes to operate, the license remains. It doesn't go anywhere. I think that's.
well, and I'd like to know, we went kind of through it, the income versus expense issue too. We talked about it. And Jim, you're thinking we're probably gonna lose $500,000 a year and we'd have to subsidize maybe that much. I don't think we would. I think he's not running this business up here and losing, or he'd be giving a third 90-day notice and walking away. Or he would have a year ago. You can't tell me he's losing money. Just because he ain't paying his bills doesn't mean he's losing money. See, that's what people think. They think, oh, he ain't paying us rent, he ain't paying his capital, his accounts payable, so he must be losing money. No, he's making money, he just ain't paying them. That's the difference, see? And I think...
Well, it depends on who you pay first. Every business owner knows you pay yourself last.
Well, that's where we're at with him, and that's...
If we get the license from the state, the Board of County Commissioners has a license to operate a nursing home, then what are you gonna do?
I'd get a board like you was gonna do with you guys. I'd get a board like you had a year ago and put them together and get a administrator to run it.
Yeah.
Well, I will say this. One of the companies that we had talked to for the management, I keep wanting to say benefits management, the nursing home administrative, I want to call it a temp agency, that's not what it is, just a management firm. They had said that through conversations with our hospital administrator up here, Mr. Granzo, they were nervous about looking at our proposal because they were under the assumption that our hospital was going to take over all of the swing care. And she basically said to me, you can't make a go of a nursing home that size without doing your own swing bed reimbursements.
Our hospital administrator said unequivocally he doesn't want anything to do with that nursing home.
But the assumption when she spoke with him, which I'm not sure, they were in contact through our attorney, remember, that we hired out of Topeka. And the assumption was that when we do this transition with the nursing home that we would basically extract all the swing bed care and give that business to our hospital. Now, that was never said by the commission. It was in part of the discussions of the committee that Mr. Granzo was on, but she basically informed me that no management firm is going to look at your 36-bed nursing home care facility and say, oh yeah, we'll do it, and not do any swing bed care, and not have any home health. I mean, it's like everybody's just preying upon it and picking apart the little pieces that generate some sort of positive cash flow, and then the commission's just subsidizing the majority of
Well,
it.
we've been taken advantage of because
Yeah.
he knows we want to keep it open, so we don't crack down on him on the $3,500 a month. That's what's going on.
He has also spread rumors at the nursing home that has worked against the county commissioner.
Right, I spoke with one resident who's very capable of mind, and she had been hearing that we were closing and that, she was unaware that the lease was even set to extend through into next year or anything like that. So it's always like a day-to-day nervousness that is totally unnecessary. We haven't even had real discussions because everything we get is this secret financial information that's never been audited. And then we have these open discussions where the bottom line is the state is ultimately in control because we need the license.
Yeah.
Taking the license away from him is going to be a trick.
Well, his will expire in May.
Well, yeah.
His expires in May from here. If we got around to it.
Our lease.
Or lease, I mean, the lease expires. Well, he could have the license. We get a new one. We could run it.
That's the whole.
Well, that's why
yeah.
that's why we're talking to the state, and we could go to them saying we're in dire straits here under this situation we're at, and we'd like to keep our
Well,
business.
a few things. The newspaper has done us no justice by publishing things that are untrue. And no one has really spoken out and outed any of the financial debacle that's gone on. We have it in the newspaper, hooray, we have a new home health care coming out of Lucas. Are you kidding me? They stole it from Lincoln Park Manor. Let's call a spade and actually put it on the table, because if we keep pretending like this was all just, in good faith, it doesn't work that way. We have not taken him to court. We haven't done anything to expose what's really been going on. Now we're looking at an investment that may exponentially grow if we take on that responsibility. And I'm dealing with companies who don't want to touch it because we have other people working in positions through the county subsidy that are trying to funnel off profitable ventures. So it's, there's no one really working together underneath. It's been superficial, and I'm tired of that. I think we need to go straight to the state and attack this licensing issue.
But how long will that take?
Well, we sent our letter.
Yeah. 3
They
weeks
haven't
ago.
responded in 3 weeks. That indicates that they don't take it very seriously.
I'd like to call them.
Or that they're backed up on that many issues,
Make a follow-up call. Summer vacation, do it.
Yeah,
And keep doing it.
yeah.
Yeah, because we can't, that would be good on this license knowing what's going on, but we can't hang out forever, Jim was saying, and we're right, we got 9 months, and that takes a long time to, if we're gonna do something.
How much money does he owe the county on back?
I don't know.
Period.
think since February of 18.
So that's like 3,400 a month or 3,500 a month.
Well, and here's the sad part. We have not even received a census monthly so that we can determine the dollar amount. So really it's an unknown dollar amount plus the 400 he had promised monthly to pay the back bills of what the previous
Yes.
tenant had not paid us in rent.
That was my next question. Haven't you made some kind of agreement?
So was it February of 2018?
I believe I'm within a month.
So that's about a year and a half, and it's 3,500 a month. So what's that about 50,000 or so, around, approximately. And then he owes other people money around town too.
Yeah, because utilities and things like that didn't get paid.
Well, that's just what do you do? If you sued him, that's going to drag out forever. We probably would never really get the money. Even if you win, you're going to pay your attorneys as much as you win, probably. So that ain't going to accomplish nothing in the end. It just might make him a black mark on him, but
No, it won't bother him. It'll bother the corporation.
yeah, his corporation, and he's got like every facility he has like 4 or 5 different nursing homes he operates. They're all different corporations, aren't they?
Yeah, we got lots of corporations.
So see, he splits that up.
We still need to, the easiest way, I think, would get him to buy that building and take the nursing home and get us out of it.
No, we can talk to him, have him come in here. We had him here a few months ago,
We
and
can do the negotiation with him to see how much back pay we're gonna get and rent we're gonna get.
what he would do in any of this stuff. We could talk, here's where we're at. He just sent you a letter, maybe we ought to have a talk to him. That's probably the best thing we could do. Then we get an understanding where he's at and where we're at. And that doesn't mean we have to make any deal, but we can talk about it at least.
That's gonna be the least expensive and simplest option for the county.
And if he is making money, he ain't gonna close it. And I think he's making money.
And if he has it entirely up to him, he can sell it. If he doesn't wanna run it, he can sell it to somebody else. He'll have better luck selling it than we'll have selling it at a fire sale that the state took over.
Yeah. Well, maybe we should get him
We
on.
need to get rid of that dang building. And the easiest way is to get him to take that building.
Well, not necessarily. What he's saying is that we go ahead and put it out for sale.
No, he keeps talking about Grace buying it.
Well, he's assuming that he would want to buy
We
it.
would go through the bid process if Grace would want to.
I mean, we have to put it out for bid.
Somebody else may
That's-
want to bid higher and take it over, who knows? I doubt it, but you never know. But we could, in other words, Jim's saying, sell it to him, but go through this bid process that Alexis
Well,
is
yeah,
talking about. We gotta go through the process you pointed out and all that, yeah. But we assume he would do the bidding and he would get it, and then we would go that way to see how it works. At least we should talk to him about it.
Well, then I think we need to do both. We need to file a civil suit, and we need to start the bidding process. Why not? Let's be proactive, It doesn't mean, it just said you don't have to accept any bid. And the civil suit will take some time, so I believe we do both at the same time. I mean, you're right, we put no pressure on anyone to do anything.
Suit against him?
Yeah.
Well,
I
then
recommend we.
he won't wanna cooperate with us and buy it.
I recommend
It's
If
just
you're gonna sue him.
paperwork. It's just paperwork.
Bring him in first
Why?
and have a suit ready to go and say, Mr. Grace, this is our deal. And we can work out a deal where you could purchase the building from us. We'll
You can't
forego
do that.
this.
KSA 19211 prohibits that. You have to put it out for a bid.
Well, we'll go
understand
through the
all
bid.
that. I
That's what he's
understand that.
saying.
He's gonna be the only person bidding on the nursing home.
Is that right?
Yes, it is. They've
Well-
been trying for 2 damn years to sell this nursing home.
No, they
Nobody,
haven't. No, we haven't. No, we haven't. I've been here every day.
have you really?
We haven't tried to ever sell the building, not when I've been here.
And if you don't get
I
rid of our
suggested
half
it.
of
I
the building,
suggested
you're
it a
not
while
going to.
ago before Kristen actually
But I
sold to
think
him.
let's bring John in.
Because I wouldn't sign the
before we
lease.
file a suit.
I
Yeah.
didn't vote for the lease.
I wouldn't wanna, if you're gonna file a suit, no use bringing him in here, cause he won't wanna talk to us.
Bring him in, before we file a suit, let's negotiate.
Let's
see if
talk
he wants it.
first.
If
Talk
he doesn't
first.
want it, then we're wasting our time with it.
Yeah, I think we should talk to him about this. What do you think, Alexis?
When is the lease up?
I don't think talking has done anything for the
23rd
last
of
2
March,
years. So
2020.
We'll see if he'd wanna.
23rd of May.
We'll see if he'd
May.
wanna.
Or May, I mean, yeah.
We'll see if he'd wanna do this deal Jim's talking about, possibly bid to get the building, and then buy it, and then maybe what we'd have to, or how he would take it over and everything.
well, let's just email him. Are you willing to put in a bid if we put the building up for sale? I mean, is that all you want to know?
But
Yeah, if If he'd like to have it, yeah.
But then he's gonna keep running it, you think, or close the doors after next May, or he can hopefully would buy it and close the doors. But I hate to. I'm afraid if we lose the building, we're going to lose the business. We're going to close the doors in a couple of years, and we won't have a nursing home. And there's going to be that's hit the fan when that happens. And I ain't going to be. I'm going to say, well, I tried to keep it open. That's for the record. And even if it costs us money, because it's an asset. We spend we have $7 million budget. If we have to spend $200,000 in a year to help subsidize that, that's like what, less than 5% of our old budget. We spend $2.5 million on the highway department. Whatever.
It's my opinion you're dealing with a con man.
Can't say that.
It's my
Well,
opinion.
well, that may-
and I just said it.
Yeah, but we got to deal with.
And I know for a fact he's gone to other counties and counties who did their.
So what would you recommend doing?
We were actually questioned in a public meeting by a different commissioner
Yeah.
who has been approached because their name is not on the license,
Right.
and they were approached with the same scheme of
Exactly.
putting up a front with a
Okay,
nonprofit
so what-
and him being the management
Yeah.
So
company.
what do you recommend
They didn't
doing?
go with it.
What do you recommend doing, then, Cindy? What do you recommend
I
doing?
recommend you're going to go for a civil suit against him.
Yeah, now what does that accomplish? And then in May,
It brings
like,
out to the public that you have a backbone against somebody.
okay, good. And then the lease runs out in May. Then what do we do?
Find someone else to run a business. Your license
Well, that's
is
simple
over.
as hell, isn't it? We've only been screwing around with that for 2 years.
Well, I have approached people, but unfortunately, I'm getting
It could be
this
the state
this
that runs that
backlash from the undertone of conversations that have been happening without the commission's actual approval. I mean, I didn't send the county hospital administrator to talk to one of the companies to say what we would or would not negotiate with a management firm, but apparently that's been happening or has happened already, and that's a concern because it's actually detrimental to us because people aren't going to see it as much of an opportunity when we're already preemptively saying, well, we're going to take this away. Home health has already been decimated. You know, I mean, that doesn't make it appealing in a business sense. And that's not their call. And I believe if the hospital wants to control the swing bed care, then they should consider doing a long-term care unit again. But I'm going to go back to what I suggested, I think it was 2 weeks ago. I think we need to contact a handful of counties, just like the information Kelly brought us from Rooks, and see how other places are doing it. Because there are counties that
Haven't we done that already?
not necessarily.
I've heard talk that we've contacted counties all around about this. From the time I made that presentation in April of 2018, we talked about going to this county, that county, same size, see how they do it, see this, see that.
Well, the thing that I found most common denominator is that the counties have their names on the license. Then nobody can walk away with it. We're looking at someone who wants to walk away with our license or put a price tag on it that is astronomically unacceptable. So the license is the basic issue. But there are other options like the long-term care unit. I mean, if there's going to be a big scare that no one has any place to go and the place is going to shut down, if those people can have a long-term care unit in our hospital until this person walks away from the building or someone else wants to buy it and buy even his portion of the, you know.
We don't have that now, though. We like to sell long-term care. You're promoting that now, but we ain't gonna get that in the next 8-9 months. So we gotta deal with this issue in hand right now. And I don't. You could.
I mean,
You
honestly,
could
I feel
sue,
like I'm being held hostage for $750,000 over a license that could be signed over for free if the place is so destitute and run down and we've never done anything to fix it up and help the business grow. You know, the commission's gotten blamed for all of the nonsense that's gone on up there with the management of whoever's been running it in the last 2 owners.
I'm saying that's all in the rearview mirror, and we can't be looking at that. Let's not diddle with that. Let's get John in here and see if he wants it. If he doesn't want it, then we gotta go through a whole new.
Well, I will send him this email right now. I have it prepared. If you approve it, it's to Mr. Grace under Lincoln Park Manor. Mr. Grace, the commission is now preparing to put the county nursing home facility up for sale. Are you willing to become a bidder in this process? Anything else that you'd like me to ask him?
Well, we'd like to. If he's interested, we'd like to have him come and visit and talk about his interest.
And
But doesn't that kind of defeat the purpose of putting it up for bid?
Up for bid, and if he would like to continue to keep running it.
I mean, what are we just trying to find out if he has interest in the bidding? I'm trying to find out if he has interest in the bidding process, because that could be a direction in which we move. If he wants to continue to run it, he's going to bid on it. If he doesn't want to continue to run it, he's going to wait and see who bids on it, just like we do. I mean, tell me what else you want to communicate or what answer you want from him, because I feel like asking him to come in and talk, we've received letters, we've received multiple, there are 3 different options in each letter we've ever received on what he wants done. All of it involves us spending $750,000 up front with an unknown investment into the future to front expenses, daily costs.
It wasn't $750,000.
We're not gonna.
It was 75 for the cash and then take care of the accounts payable, which was, I'll throw
Which
it out.
is
We're talking
unknown.
numbers, I got 400. It was like 300 and some.
But
It'd
that
be
was
about-
6 months ago.
Well, that's what it was back then. So it was like 400 grand would take it over, buy it from him.
Plus, you're going to have to front the cost before any Medicare payments or Medicaid payments are received. You're going to have to front the cost for everything, all the expenses up front. So you're talking, and the payroll potentially, until you get those, the income.
If we would transition, that's if we got moved, we were going to do that. Yeah, I don't know what to do. I don't do
Well, what else do you want me to ask him? Are you willing to become a bidder in this process?
Yep.
Anything else?
it. That's fine.
Okay.
I don't think he will. Yeah, he don't want to put 100 grand in every year like we're doing. That's what you got to do. Keep it running.
That's true.
Well,
We have
okay.
spent,
Well, yeah.
to just to do the regular maintenance, we have spent.
Well, you can't tell me though he ain't making money or he wouldn't be there. He ain't doing this out of goodness of his heart, keeping that thing open.
If it's a moneymaker, you'll still keep it open.
That's hopefully what he'll do. Hopefully that would be the best route. You're right, solid.
I agree with what you're saying.
I do
the
too,
premise
Jim.
is the county doesn't need to be running businesses. I agree with that wholeheartedly in my own, philosophy, my own political philosophy. However, being that we're in this particular situation, if the goal is to have it here, then we really need to be dealing with the state and the licensing issue.
Well,
And at that point, we can choose anyone we want to successfully run it and make it more appealing by reestablishing things like home health.
Well,
My
like assisted
second
living.
option.
Assisted living too.
Right.
My second option had a grandfather clause in it. We could own and operate it for up to a year, and then we had to have it sold by into somebody else.
Well, if we could
Us.
We
So we
could
put it up for
operate it
sale.
for a year. We put it up for sale as soon as we took it over,
Uh-huh.
get somebody else to buy it, including the building and everything else.
As a one package.
But we need a license to
I
take
had
it over.
proposed that
But
before.
we need the
I
license.
understand that.
We need the license to take it over. But it would be grandfathered in if we get his license, the building.
Well, the grandfather part is you can only have it for a year.
Oh, really?
You gotta unload it for a year. That's our clause to ourselves, that we don't want to be in the business. So within the year, we will sell it to somebody that wants to be in the business.
You're trying to guarantee that it's not long-term
Exactly right.
business endeavor, yeah. I mean, you'd have to be able to operate it until it's sold, though.
Well, you got that, you just sent him that email, and also we're waiting on with the state, whether we can get a new license on our own. See if we can get our own new license, which leaves our facility, so we don't have to modify
You
it.
take his license away when you get your license.
Yeah, we would. It would be worthless.
Which means you would be working from the minute you get the license, it belongs to you. So you have to have your board in place, all your funding in place, all your staff in place. That staff all belongs to him.
Mhm.
So he can take everybody out there when we take his license or he takes his lease. And we could walk into an empty building with 33 patients sitting out there wanting breakfast.
Well, that's true. It depends on when the license is effective.
Yeah, but he's not gonna go gracefully when you yank it away out from under him. He doesn't get any remuneration for it. He's in business.
Yeah. That's probably true. Well, we're gonna email us, and maybe we should have a discussion with
Well,
him.
let's see if he's interested. If he's interested, then we'll see what happens from there. If he's not interested, then.
I agree, again, with the premise of everything that you're saying, but I think the pinnacle point is the license and dealing with the state and KDAS, and specifically Patty Brown, the head of the licensing, and who can be given the go-ahead by
We ought to,
Mrs. What's her name? Lauren, I think.
could we call her again? You and I did that one time, or now Jill, I guess. And,
But again, I would like to repeat that one of the stipulations for the state to step in is financial insolvency. If we cannot prove him to be financially insolvent by asking for the money that's owed us in the court of law, then he's not financially...
You can do that anytime. You can always file that suit if you need to prove that.
Well, and ultimately they have to be missing things such as payments on their food truck or payroll payments.
Payroll,
ultimately.
yeah.
I mean, that's the
he's not insolvent.
But that's all easy. We know, we have those facts. We have the numbers. We can file a suit any day we want to. But then when you get the license, you have to be careful when you get the license at noon one day. That doesn't mean he's gone at noon that day, and we take over that same noon, because there's a lot of preparation we have to do first.
Yeah, you'd want a smooth transition.
Well, you have to hire staff and everything else.
Have you met the new administrator yet?
Yes, Chris, yeah, good kid.
I do.
He belongs to John Grace. And one of the conditions...
He's contracted, you mean?
Well, he's part of his...
Oh, he was
his
already
corporation.
working for him?
Yeah. One of the conditions would be that if we get his license friendly, that Chris would stay on for up to a year until we replaced him with another license. That way we get both licenses, the old people care license and the facility license at the same time.
So here's my proposition. We don't need Lincoln Park Manor. That's a corporation. We don't need it. All we need is the facility license.
That's right.
So why don't we just offer Mr. Grace the same dollar amount that he paid for it?
That's what I'm saying. We need to get him in here and discuss it.
Well, I know what he paid for it, and it wasn't more than $65,000.
I understand that.
So let's offer him $65,000.
Well, he
We
wanted
can do the
70.
child paperwork. No, I'm not interested in
Well, 70 was what to remember, but that
for a
is,
total dollar amount.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's fine. I
you know,
mean,
that
There's a
number
lot
right
more
there.
negotiation. You're gonna have to negotiate a bunch of other stuff.
I'm not willing to negotiate bills that another corporation has wrapped up for my taxpayers to pay on the behalf of some other business.
But that's what he wants, or he won't give you a license.
Yeah,
We've done there a license. We'll have to do his accounts payable.
Right, but when we put an offer on the table, it at least shows in the minutes, it records and reflects what we're actually doing. I mean, if we do nothing except for say we want to talk to him again for the 16th time about how much money he wants, which we already know, that's not proactive in my opinion.
Well, we can do that, make an offer. You got an email now, we'll start there, see if he's interested in that, then if we, whatever. Go from
Before
there.
we get a money figure, we need to sit down with him and go back and forth and argue back and forth and see if we can't come up to a mutually acceptable number. And if we can't, then that's something else. But he'll roll into that, what he owes us, and we'll roll into a bunch of other stuff. And
Well, I mean,
argue
that's
back
being
and forth.
generous to create an offer for him when he's in debt to us.
Well, I understand that, but it may be cheaper to do that than just to do some of the other stuff that we have.
Well, so ultimately offering him $70,000 is really more like, what, 120?
Yeah,
Because it's 50,000 debt that we're writing off.
but he'd have to agree with those numbers. We have to bandy him back and forth until we get.
Yeah, we'd have to negotiate that back and forth. And I think I don't know where he's at, but he sent us a letter, so he's got some interest in what we're gonna do. Right there's the letter. Oh no, that was the old letter. There's a new letter. Yeah, I got it right. Today's letter.
Let's see what he says.
Yeah, see what he says with your email, and maybe we can have a meeting if he
If
wants
he's
to.
not interested, then we'll do something else. If he's interested, then we ought to have a visit with him and find out.
I'm almost still thinking too, the option that you was doing a year ago was buy him out, and I know it'd be what we talked about.
Well, that's essentially what you're.
400 or 500 grand, get a board, and then hire an administrator, but he would help, if we make that deal now, he could transition the administrator,
That's
get
what you
our,
ought to do. If the
Yeah.
BOCC gets that license,
Yeah.
you're gonna appoint a board just like we have.
Yeah.
You say, in fact, that board has a 501c3 ticket already.
yeah. Or,
You can just move them right in. I'm not on the board anymore.
does that still exist, that board?
Oh, yeah.
Well, that would be good, because then we would, and I know you don't want to own a business and you don't want to own a nursing home, but maybe then we could even sell that a year later or something.
Well, that's the deal. If you take that over, I put the year clause in for sale.
Then we could have a year to look for it. Then
Let's
if
see
we're,
what Brother John
Well,
has to
we
say.
can't, I mean, it wouldn't have to, we couldn't have an end date because you don't know when it's going to sell.
Yeah,
But
you don't want
it
an
could
end
be
date.
with the assumption that it's continually up for sale until sold.
That's right.
yeah.
Again, though, We're never getting our money back on that investment.
You're never going.
No, you're not going to. It's an expense you're going to lose. We subsidize it with your $120,000 a year now.
I know.
But we got a nursing home with twice 25 people and $2 million cash flow, and that supports a lot of Lincoln. You know, we invest a lot of money with our tax dollars for all kinds of stuff. We have an economic development department that's set up to do all that, which I think's good. So we already do that. But when for some reason if we do a nursing home, everybody's against it. But we do it everywhere else. We give tax abatements to do businesses that come in here, all kinds of stuff like that. That all the time. You know, and that's okay. But for some reason, if we help a nursing home, which is an existing business with 25 people working there, and all the money and all the help business it helps, for some reason we can't help that. No, get the hell out. I don't understand that.
I haven't heard that as much as I've heard the discontent with the relationship of the owners of the business. You know, it's something different when you're a landlord. I sat in the commission meetings and was told that the reason that why we want to own it is because then we can control quality of care to the patients. I mean, I can show you the video.
That's a bald-faced lie.
That's what I said. I mean, you're not up there, you know, doing any of the physical labor. You're not controlling any of the quality of care. They're not our employees, nor do we have any decisions about how the function of the business works. In fact, the lease that was written up for this current lease is more protective of the tenant than it is the landlord. That's why I didn't vote for it. It's kind of silly.
Well, anyway, I guess we're...
All right, we got to hear from John.
You got an email to John,
It's
and we'll
already
go from
sent.
there.
It's already sent.
What else
Oh, what
we
did he
gotta do
say?
today?
No, I sent it.
Oh, yeah. I thought you said you sent one back.
No.
He's still laughing. He had to pull off the side of the road. He's laughing so hard.
Well, we're in a tough situation with this whole thing. We got nursing home we don't want to lose. I don't, but I know it costs us money, and maybe some people say get the hell out of it and don't worry about it, and then we'll wipe our hands clean. But and if I'd hate to see us lose that asset for this county.
Let's put this on for next Monday.
Okay.
Sure, we'll hear from him, and then we can sit down and figure out where we want to go next. But I think expedience is our watchword on this thing.
Yeah, we got to push it because 9 months, like you say, if we're going to seriously do something, that goes fast. And you got to get your ducks lined up. So if you're going to do business changes, and it takes months to get that set in place.
Okay, what else we got to do today?
I don't know. I don't know.
That's all that's on the agenda. What we need to do is say that on Thursday we're going to discuss, we're going to look at applications. Dawn, do you remember the original closing date of when we were going to?
You didn't have a closing date.
Okay. So then I think we can look at the applications on Thursday, and then what we'll do is we'll choose our interviewees.
And we got some evaluation.
And also,
Yeah.
Also, we need to deal with Liz. She's 2 weeks, right?
Yes.
Well, we should probably talk to her, see who she thinks is best to take over for her.
Okay.
You know, she's still working, I guess, for 2 weeks. So,
Dawn, would you please ask bus driver, Mr. Philbrick, if he would come in on Thursday? And, well, we need to do the evaluation first thing. We need to do the evaluation first thing, then maybe he could come an hour later.
We called, ordered the bus and have it.
Yeah. In fact, I can email him, Dawn. Do you want me to just email him?
Hey, Don, I got a question, something else totally. On the Ray Roofing, did they ever do anything about the nurses' home? Have you heard anything back?
Not yet. Sometime in this month is what they're expecting. They have 2 projects ahead.
Oh, so they're going to try to get to ours in this month?
Are we starting at 10 a.m. on Thursday?
Yeah, I think so. Say they're going to plan to start. Okay, so so there's a plan to come fix it this month sometime.
As of right now.
Well, that's fine. Yeah. Okay, at least we got a schedule. More than I knew before. We're getting our roof fixed at nursing home, the east part. Did you know that, Jim?
I'm not necessarily sure. Sometime in August after we get done with these other 2 projects is much of a schedule, but that's okay.
Okay,
That's what they gave us.
The new owner can take care of it.
Well, we got insurance paying for it. That's still hail damage from a year ago.
Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry, I'm on a different subject.
That's okay.
Wasn't Terry Heater working in the highway department office prior? Wouldn't she know some of that software?
I don't know because it's been quite a few years. I don't know if they've changed or not.
We should ask her. I mean, the appraiser's office is directly under our purview, and I think that that might be helpful if she would go over while Liz is here for the next 2 weeks and become refamiliarized with some of the software that we could at least keep up with some of the computer data entry.
Some of the entry and
Right.
whatever
Right.
software transition they
You need
use.
somebody to do gifts every day.
Well, that's going to be whoever. I think that's going to be whoever we.
We gotta do
interview.
the bare minimum way it looks, because if Leo's gone and they're all gone,
That's gonna be done for next week.
gotta be done for somebody, it doesn't have to be done for us.
Oh, no, but somebody over needs to do that.
Well, somebody needs to take over, yeah,
Otherwise, you'll have 15 guys sitting in the shop smoking and joking.
yeah. Well, there's people in there, John Walling would be good, but he's
Is he
on medical,
still
yeah.
on leave?
Oh.
No, he's not. He's back on. He's
He's back
the end
Friday.
of this week, so that'd be good.
But I don't know how long he'll be back. Maybe Emmett would be about as, I don't know, he would be now.
It's gonna be interesting to see who else turns in his resignation in the next day or two.
Well,
I think we had already previously appointed Mr. Wolting. Maybe we should approach him and see if he's interested.
yeah, but he'd been out on his family, he's been gone,
I
you
know.
know, and he's maybe gone again, right? From on and off on family medical leave because of his daughter, right?
Well, he's back, but
But who knows how long.
potentially intermittently, and again, that's something that is.
Yeah, we can't discuss that, but let's maybe
Yeah.
talk to him.
Sorry,
That's fine.
I'm sorry.
I should
sorry.
do this or something.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
It's
I
okay.
gotta learn what I can say. The right time, right?
Yeah, it's okay.
Come and handcuff me. Here I go.
I'm sure he's talked to people, so we're a small community. It's just.
Well, as long as nothing actually medical is revealed, let's just go with the conversation that we will approach him to do some interim directing there as far as coordinating projects on a daily schedule.
Yeah.
Okay.
You have his email? Okay, good. And maybe,
We got Michael and Liz both over there until the middle of the month. So
Well,
perhaps we can get some training and stuff from them before they leave.
That's something we need to go to executive session about,
What's that?
Right now?
potentially. Because
Yeah.
that's not necessarily a true statement.
Okay.
Well, let's do that now because I'm confused.
What Jim just said.
Yeah, and I'm trying to do two things at once.
well, did you get that done?
Yep.
Let's
Yeah.
go to executive.
Do you just
Don,
need
you wanna
5
go to
minutes,
exec?
Dawn, or?
5 minutes is fine.
Okay.
Okay. I move to recess into executive session for 5 minutes for the purpose of discussing management concerns with the highway department pursuant to KSA 7543-19-2B. Number 1, personnel matters of non-elected personnel to reconvene in the commission room with the commission and the acting HR.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded for a 5-minute executive session. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor vote aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Hey,
No, I don't
it
believe
just
so.
runs out.
We just keep
Well,
running it.
because the idea is we pick our interviewees. If none of them take the job, or if we don't choose to
can
offer the
keep
job, then
going.
yeah,
We did
just
that, we
do-
offered a job to two, I remember they
And then have to do
turned it
round
down.
two,
Then we
right.
had Derek on.
Right, right,
And if you had applied by now, you might have got interested, you should have jumped right on it.
right. Or you haven't seen it, so you can apply later if we haven't chosen one or someone hasn't taken it. Yeah.
I would ask him to come to meeting or to let temporarily be, what'd you tell him?
Yeah, he said probably not.
What to be,
That's correct.
yeah, well, he's loyal to doing the work.
Yeah. mean, we have 2 weeks' notice. Maybe we need to create an ad. Because it's still going to take some time to actually go through the process. So,
We should almost have a meeting with all the employees.
let's do that.
Yeah.
That's a good
just
idea.
talk to them and
I got a better idea.
Tell them,
On
try to calm
Friday,
things down.
let's have a big barbecue on Friday over there at the shop or wherever the one they did out at the lake.
Okay.
Go to the lake to have it.
They have had office parties out there.
Okay.
Are you interested in that?
Yeah, I'm interested in doing anything.
Would that work, Dawn?
I wouldn't have it clear to the lake. I'd have it around here.
Maybe they could fix the roads.
You remember, Dawn? You remember the conditions I was talking about?
I don't know if we do that.
You set it up like that?
I would just have this meeting,
I would like to have a meeting.
just to talk to them about,
Yes,
you know,
in which you pay for it, is that what you mean?
Yes.
how to calm things down. Because it seems like we never have enough communication with employees, do we have?
Well, and it's been
See if we
discouraged
can
by
get everybody
department
in there and
heads.
let's tell them what's going
I
on,
said, the
what's happening.
communication with the commission's been discouraged by
The number
department
one thing
heads.
I
they're
don't
gonna
like
ask
that.
is if they're getting paid.
It's been like that ever
They're
since
getting
I've
paid.
been on.
We should be able to talk to them.
You guys
Well, it's the
decide
only way
what
you really know what's
decide.
going on.
Yeah.
Is
Not
what?
that you can take you guys as a board.
You're not to micromanage,
No.
but to know what's going on.
You'll see trends in what they say or how they act. Here it is.
Poor baby, past its bedtime.
Yeah, nap time.
So, I guess we'll wait till Thursday. Are we done here or what?
You guys need to decide, are you saying you want something on Friday of this week?
Yes, I do.
What?
I want a party for the highway department on Friday this week over at the highway department, catered and set up by Dawn.
Who's paying for it? Who's paying for it? The
I
taxpayer?
am.
Let's see the check on the table.
You'll have a check on the table. I never said anything I didn't mean. I'm not like some people. If I say it, it's a done deal.
Oh, no, I've heard you say other things.
Okay, let's not have that discussion. Let's just stick to Friday.
Business.
Are you talking about after work or during work?
Friday's a day
They're
off.
off Friday.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So they're gonna ask, are they gonna get paid to come in?
Yes, they will ask.
So then let's do it next Monday. Let's do our afternoon session on Monday with them. We'll
Yeah, but there,
have
half
our-
of them will be working, waiting and working.
I'd say
You're gonna have everybody quit?
Let's
working
pay
on
them
Monday?
Friday. That way they'll all come and it doesn't interfere with the work schedule that we got put together.
Yeah,
But
they're,
that's overtime. I'd rather pay them their regular, not to be,
Yeah.
I'd rather pay them their regular wage to have a meeting than pay them overtime
well,
to
they
have a
should,
meeting. Plus, they might
I'm
have
sorry,
something-
but if we're just having a party and they can come visit, that shouldn't be paid. Can't they just come for a,
I want to have an actual meeting though. If you want to have it
well, then we could pay them.
entertainment,
Could we
that's
pay them
not
for a couple,
food, but-
2 hours instead of 8?
Could we do lunch? Could we make lunch, have lunch for them and do a meeting and a lunch, and that way it's during the workday when they're already expecting to be there and getting paid. We'll furnish the lunch, which is something extra.
Friday?
No, Monday.
Yeah, but half of them will be out at Westfall grading the road.
But on
Not if
Friday
they
they
know
might be at a
it's free
family
food.
picnic or something.
Friday they will be.
But I'm saying, what if they already have something scheduled for
Well-
Friday? We know there's planning on being at work on Monday. Is what I'm getting at. Or Tuesday or whatever.
I'd set it up for noon Monday and they can work a half a day. They're gonna get paid the whole day. We just won't be burning diesel fuel that afternoon. Does that work? Set it up for noon Monday, a catered affair.
Dawn, what do we have on the agenda?
You guys asked me to put something on there.
I know. I think it was
John Grace,
no
No,
budget. Was it?
budget.
no. Oh, I'll go get it.
Are you going upstairs?
Yeah,
Did you grab the stack for me?
a stack.
You had papers for me from last week.
Thank you.
We got, Pick, we got a signed paper for Pick.
Yeah.
It was about.
That's fine, whatever.
Job description for.
Monday
HR
afternoon.
and clerical. We were gonna discuss it and bring it back next week.
We talked about that today. There was something we asked her last week to do for next week too. I kept saying 2 weeks out. I thought there were two things we talked about.
Yeah, Monday afternoon, fine. Have a lunch. Is that what you want?
Yeah.
Well, and this will be a good idea because Thursday we will have met and looked at our applicants and seen what we're looking at in the first round of interviews, and and we'll talk to them about the idea of putting one person in charge of the bridge crew, not bridge and road. I mean, no one can do that. That's why it wasn't getting done. That's not even feasible to have someone do. I mean, our county has some of the most culverts and bridges in the whole state. That's.
But for the short term, we need to get somebody right at the
No,
top
just
short term.
to
Well,
make-
I know you're long term right, but I think we should concentrate on short term right now, what's in front of us.
But really, that's not the commission's job. Honestly, those guys have been going to work without work orders for years.
Yeah, but we need somebody to
I
do,
mean-
we need somebody to do that.
And I know, but that's new, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, but it was in somebody's head, I guess, telling them what to do.
The handbook is what we were.
Oh yes, pages 4 through 17 or something.
What are we
Or
doing?
Yeah, that's right.
One clippy is 1 week, the other clippy is the
Thank
other
you.
week, and something in
What
between
are we
is on
doing?
Wednesday.
Thank you.
What we should-
Or maybe random pieces of paper that I may have.
What's on the agenda Monday?
The the handbook, going through pages. So can we do that first thing before
Yeah.
lunch and
The
go
handbook?
from there?
Upgrade the handbook?
Yeah.
As of right now, I don't have anything on
I
the
think we
agenda.
have-
You guys have got to do the budget at some point.
Well, I was gonna say, we got a
So,
higher priority stuff than that handbook. We can have to make that handbook in the next 6 months. We better do the budget Monday. That's due this month, don't you think? Alexis?
The handbook?
No, the budget's due this
Oh, the
month.
budget, yeah,
We can
we-
upgrade this thing next 6 months.
Yeah,
Then
that's
that way
true.
for
Yeah,
20 years.
swap it out then.
Yeah, let's say prioritize. We need to prioritize too. We complain about the highway department not prioritizing. We need to
Let's not
prioritize.
get all radical
I'm not, yeah, in other words, get organized.
here.
Maybe we ought, instead we jump around from 14 topics and never get the shit accomplished.
okay, I'm gonna just say this. I'm not being heard, so I'm gonna make sure you hear this. I will organize this meal for Monday. But after that, my statutory guidelines and duties are only to be taking the minutes. But I will take care of meal on Monday, but then after that, you guys have to start doing
Well,
something.
we'll do that. I can do that. You don't need to do that.
I can do it too.
What, the meal?
Well, or all this stuff we have her do, that's
Well,
really,
we need a way
really
to
not a
we
county
need
clerk
to
stuff.
we need a way to notify the employees. So I will send an email promptly to Liz.
And I feel like sometimes I'm refusing to do a job that I think that I just inherited a bunch of stuff.
Does this highway department email go to Liz too, Dawn? The whatever Lincoln County
So, yes, LC Highway.
Yeah. LC Highway at Lincoln County,
I
Kansas.
believe so.
Okay.
So I'm gonna block off 11:45 to 1.
Yes.
So you can get down there by noon.
Yes. 1:30.
Okay.
Because if we're gonna have a meeting and eat, it needs to be a little. And are we paying for this out of the commission budget? No?
Yeah. If Norma don't like it, that's too bad.
He said he would do it. He volunteered.
Are you gonna pay for it, Jim? Or- Well, okay, Jim said he'd pay for
At the shop?
It's not air conditioning.
You expect them to be there by noon?
Only if they want to eat.
Well, isn't the idea for participation so that you can actually talk to them about stuff? You want them there.
They're getting paid for coming.
it. They're outside every day anyway, so they'll just be outside.
Oh, the highway department guys will shy away from free food, so.
We'll have it outside
Yes,
there,
we
it's in the
are.
shade. It'll only be for an hour, and we'll have a discussion with them. It ain't gonna be that big a deal.
Pam will help you, right?
Not
All I was
likely.
gonna do is call Deborah out at Mighty Mart and ask her to cater it.
I'll do that. I'll call.
She'll just have to ask.
How many people did we have? 25 employees?
You know, but I'll say for you,
About.
that
We're
ain't
missing a
anything
few.
I
like that.
bet there's maybe 20 at the most. I'll have to count. I'll get you a number though.
All right.
And did they get the rest of the afternoon off? Or they gotta go back to work, or what's the deal? Because like I said, if they're out grading, at Westfall or Barnard, they're gonna come clear in to eat, then go back out there to grade, or what?
It's up to you guys. The administrator side of me says they work.
What?
Clerk have to go around and pick everybody up, they can park cars on the side of the road, take the key.
That's why we shouldn't do it on Monday, we should do it on Friday.
Well, that's the day off, that's their day off, time and a half.
Yeah, well,
And it's
so,
also, you can't
Well,
you
you
can't
know,
make it
I
mandatory on their day off.
right, and I see it being beneficial if they have some hours in the afternoon to communicate with one another. I mean, I think that's some of the breakdown. When they're only communicating in small groups that are together consistently, there's no cross-referencing. You know, you hear the complaints about the coffee shop break or whatever. It's like you need people from this end of the county and that end of the county who never really see each other because they're at their outlying posts to have some communication. So yeah, we're paying for it this particular day, but why not? We're going to get them started talking about ideas and how things need to be
right.
done.
I
They
think
can
it's worth having to just to talk to them about what's going on, what they expect, what we expect, who can coordinate and cross-train, so it's beneficial. Just because they're not out in the grader doesn't mean they ain't working.
Right.
They should have more meetings all the time.
I think they should have
Department meetings,
regular,
where I worked, we had them
meetings
all the
too.
time.
Right.
That way people know what the hell's going on.
Right.
So I think we should just have lunch, and then they get the rest that afternoon off, and we can talk to them till 3 or 4 in the afternoon. Each one of them, I want to talk to them, see what, if you got complaints, what the hell are they? Because we don't need everybody quitting every 5 minutes now, if we can avoid it.
Well, like this one resignation note is all about how this person liked to work for Mr. O'Hare, so he doesn't want to be here when he's not there. So, you know, I mean, you're going to get some of that. If you think that your spot is comfortable because of who you work for, when that person is no longer in that position, you're scared you may be required to do other things. So if that's who we're losing, that's not a loss. We need to make sure that we're going to reward the people who want to be there, who want to do the work,
and we
not just be there because of who the boss is.
And we need to tell
That's
them.
not a reason to go to
We
work.
need to tell them that Monday too.
Right.
Well, we reward you for helping us, and maybe if we have less people, give everybody a raise right up front here.
Exactly.
So the ones that just left can say, okay, they didn't get it.
Exactly.
We need to take care of our people,
Right.
because we gotta have some people here to work in this county.
Right. Well, and that's the thing. The more people you have and the less responsibility you have, the less you pay and the less options you have for employees altogether. I mean, a consolidated workforce can put out more effort than a large workforce. It depends on what the requirements are and what their purpose is and if they're being rewarded for it.
All right, what's new? Anything else, or are we done?
So just as long as we have Thursday kind of mapped out, I asked Mr. Philbrook to come between 11 and noon, if that would work for him. That way I figured if he was going to take his lunch, whatever he was doing with his route, he could stop in, but we'll have to do his evaluation first. And then we're going to look at the applicants and make a choice on identifying the
Those
interviewees.
3, yeah. And then what else?
We need to review the human resources position too. At least keep that on the discussion table because Monday's going to be short.
Yeah.
So
And review, the resources, and see if I could give you the go-ahead to put an ad on that, for that, right?
I just would make this suggestion to you, that you guys figure out what it is that you want to talk to the employees about, and that you guys agree to what it is you're going to talk to before you talk to them.
Yeah.
Because if they get one idea from one person and another from you and another from her, it confuses the situation.
Yeah, we'll have to discuss that Thursday too. What we're gonna discuss to them and what we plan to convey. That's a good point.
well, I would like to discuss things like, you know, we talked a little bit about one bid that Michael got for mowing, but you know, what kind of things can we do to outsource some of the jobs that are being done to take the pressure off of whoever is on that route or whatever, you know, I mean, like one of the perfect examples is the tuck pointing that needs done on some of these bridges. That needs to be bid and outsourced. Move forward. It's just a matter of spending the money to do it. It's not up to our highway department guys to be out there, mortaring in between all the culverts that need done when they have other things to do. So is mowing something like that? I mean,
I don't know if we want to get in the weeds that much with them, because we're not the new boss. When we hire a new director, they'll talk that, I think. You're going to go to them and say, you go over here now and tuck point this or that, or...
No, I'm talking about you're the highway department employees. What do you not have time to get done? That's always a hindrance and always behind. Is it the mowing? Is it the mowing? Because we can outsource that. I know they can't take time to tuck point bridges. It's our responsibility to make that
So you want to
happen.
ask them questions about what they need?
Yeah,
That's what you're saying.
I want to know what,
Okay.
in their particular position, what is their priority and what is always getting in their way. Because we need to make a way to get that out of their way, and that's usually outsourcing.
And I think we just need to
Probably
talk
want 15 or 20 minutes on 311 too.
Yes.
So
how to use 311 if they are using it. And,
And you're probably gonna have to talk time clock.
well, I think they're using time clock.
Yeah, but I
aren't they?
mean, that's probably an issue that we need to pat them on the back, tell them what a good job they're doing or something.
Is that working okay so far?
I think so. I mean, they've had some bugs, more so the people that work outside of the shops.
But they will for a while. It's new.
Liz, she kind of asked, why don't we just put it where everybody clocks in and everybody clocks out and automatically deducts their lunch? But Michael wanted their lunch to be recorded because if somebody saw them parked someplace and they called and said, why are they parked? They could look back and say, well, they were at lunch. But on the grand scheme of things, it probably is just easier to have them clock in and clock out at the end of the beginning and end of the day and just let it deduct their lunch for them. And then if they didn't get lunch, then they put that on a note and ask and say that they didn't get lunch and why they didn't get it. But that's like an internal issue that we've got to figure out. But especially those people that work away from the shop, the people that are in the shop, it's not as big of a deal. And the mobile 311 apps, I know they were talking, quite a few of them. It's Next Tech service, internet service, and it's not really grand everywhere. So,
But that also can come into play with your meetings. Like once a week at the end of the week, can you come and make sure all your information is uploaded and compare notes on this culvert was done, but there's another one. The equipment's still there. There's another one a half a mile down the road. Can we just do the next one next? I mean, there has to be some kind of communication. Or can the director pick up some of these tablets and bring them back to upload all the information at a certain point in time in the week?
I think we should, at this meeting, this barbecue or lunch, I think we should thank them for their work and ask them, what are your concerns? Mm-hmm. I think that let them vent to us. Mm-hmm. We shouldn't go in there and tell them what we want them to do. We should ask them, thank you, how can we help you? Your job sucks maybe? Well, what can we do to help your job not suck? That's where we need to do.
Probably gonna ask about health care too.
Well, we're getting this new pick.
We're gonna we have to address that.
Well, we could say, don't be alarmed, you still can get your Blue Cross Blue Shield, that's part of PIC.
The negative side is that people are going to lose their points on their healthy living plan.
Well, that was good.
I could tell you how many people participated in that and how many didn't. And not as many down there as what is here.
In general, yeah.
Well,
because I was surprised at how many people are not getting their points.
And
I'm sorry, you tell me how I can save $480 a year, and I'm darn well going to do it.
Yeah. Well, we got to reiterate to them saying why we changed health care from the state to this to save money for the county, and we will.
And ultimately them.
And ultimately, yeah, but save money for the county, which is, we should all try to save money, because people like Norman want our taxes getting lowered, right, Norman? So, there we go. We try to save money every time we can. And so that's what we need to be positive and proactive down there and thank them and ask them what's your concerns. Not tell them what to do and what not to do. At least not that day anyway.
Well, no, that was what I was saying. What is their barrier that we can remove by outsourcing? We can outsource things, and we haven't really done that.
Maybe we will. We'll ask him that, how can we help you?
I think though when people hear the word outsource, they automatically think that means loss of my job.
They think they're gonna get laid off, or, yeah.
No, but the bottom line is we're short-handed, so there are going to have to be a few changes, and it doesn't mean anyone that's there is losing their job. It just means what can we do to fill in what needs filled in.
And I was one thing too about, speaking of short-handed, Garrett Cheney, who we just hired on as part-time for
bus
Jerry
driver.
Philbrook, he'd be interested, he said, to cross-train at the highway department to run a mower or to do whatever. He told me that if they
Okay.
needed. I said, well, I'd talk to you guys, but also the highway department people.
He should just put his application in, because, or is he not?
Well, he'd only be
He doesn't-
part-time
he doesn't-
because he's Army Reserve, and he got to
He
go
would have
out
to
at
leave,
times
okay.
where he's got to be gone because he can't be full-time. But he can be part-time when we need mowers, guys, and help sprayer with Hina. Instead of Colton going out, he could have. Colton's gone now. But I recommend maybe we try to cross-train him into the highway department,
Okay,
since they're going to be losing people here.
okay.
So what's the agenda then? We've got a lunch at 1 for the highway department.
I have from 11:45 to 1:30.
11:45. What are we serving? Does it matter? Sandwiches or?
No,
Whatever John comes up with.
Jim, you got to determine the menu.
yeah,
Okay.
sea rats.
Sea rats. Yeah. They all will quit now. But okay, good. You got that handled. And then I even say let's talk as long as we have to, and if they go back to work, I don't know or what, because we may want to visit for 2-3 hours. And then it's the end of the day. I always say just pay them that day if we're visiting. It's worthwhile
Yes.
to talk to our employees.
That should
'cause
be done
never
annually.
happens.
That should be done annually.
Yes, and we should have a barbecue
I-
for the whole damn county once a year, I think, somewhere or something. We should. That includes everybody on a Sunday or something, just so everybody can visit. But we talk about that later.
Okay.
We done for the day?
Yeah, what do you
I
think?
have one thing
Okay.
that I'm going to add to Thursday's agenda, but it still does, still deals with personnel kind of type things. But that Rhonda can come on Thursday to sign the contract.
Pick, yeah.
And I think we need to get that done to get it
Yeah,
pushed in.
I
So-
agree.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Fit her in anytime you want, we can.
She has to come for that?
I guess
Okay.
she wants to come.
Well, that's good. I want to talk to her some more about some questions about, I have some questions for her on, how things operate with her and.
Well, she'll probably have some questions for you guys too,
Sure.
as to what kind of plans are you looking for. So you might think about that.
Right.
Do you want her to mimic what the state has? Do you want her to do
Well-
something different? What kind of deductibles do you want to look at?
Well, I know a lot of the employees, and Emmett and them guys brought that up, a lot of them want similar health care to what they got now. Now, I don't know if we can afford
But
that or how
as
much
we
that
were
costs.
as we were told by these companies, a lot of employees, and I'm guilty of it myself, don't really understand what is in your benefits package. So to make the choice of just taking the top grade plan A because is really a detriment to the county and not necessarily any more beneficial for one employee who doesn't necessarily need what that offers versus another who does. So I think part of this is going to be relying on their expertise to tell us what the best options are financially and
Yeah.
go from there, because their job is going to be to explain to the employees why you might need this A plan or why you don't really need that one and you can go with the other.
No, that's true.
Well, but they are going to have to figure out what it is that you guys want to offer.
Right.
So then that way they can make sure they're getting apples to apples
Yeah.
comparisons
Right, I agree.
from other insurance companies.
That's what I want to know, what they offer, and our employees are happy with it. Our employees are worried now. They say, oh, God, we're switching away from this state health care plan, or state benefits to a broker, and they're going, oh, man, we're going to lose all of it. We got to get rid of that fear for them.
Didn't I understand that she's going to have a mandatory meeting with every employee before the policy kicks in?
Yeah, so once you guys decide, then there will be like an open enrollment period in which they will garner everything that needs to be garnered from the employee to enroll.
And she personally is going to have a required one-on-one with every employee.
Yes, and my understanding is they'll even do after hours
Yeah.
if their spouses want to come.
Good, that's good.
Yeah.
So, but, you know, all in all, health insurance is about the same no matter what. The question is what is your deductible gonna be?
Right.
What is your limitations gonna be?
Co-pays,
Yeah, so,
good drug plan. Yeah, that's right. We want, and that's our employees, and I don't know, getting into the details here, but I've had people ask me, like Emmett and other guys, they're worried about this healthcare, that we're gonna give them a lot less plan than they have now.
well, you probably would have had that with Carl Valley, and I don't mean to be mean about
Yeah.
that. But that's what happened when we went to benefit management company as well. Then everybody found out the hospital wasn't covered, the local chiropractors weren't covered, our local people weren't covered. So then your employees had to take more time off work to drive to Salina to a doctor that was covered.
Yeah.
Or
Right.
they had to pay a higher out-of-network cost. And so I think that's probably where some of the concern is coming from.
Right.
Which
And
is right.
and we need to talk to that Rhonda about that, make sure our local hospitals are involved in the network they're dealing with.
Okay, so back to the budget for a second, because that is pressing. We have Thursday's full, Monday in the morning, we're gonna put the budget in instead of,
Yes.
okay, so first thing on the agenda is the budget.
Yeah, I will.
As of right now, I don't have
So we
anything
don't
on
need
the
a
budget.
meeting with the highway department, don't tell them to come, because we're
Okay.
going over there. And then, if anyone else needs to get in, give them 15-minute, like, 1 or 2 15-minute sessions, but we're basically gonna have from 10 to
Budget.
noon on the
Yeah.
budget.
We need to do,
10 to noon.
you're right, that sounds good.
Okay.
The budget's the most important thing.
Yeah, definitely, at this point. We need to keep working on that. And you said, because the auditor's gonna have it by then.
Well,
Next Monday.
if you're saying the same as last year, then it shouldn't take him very long to plug those numbers in. It's just getting the rest of the estimates in.
Right.
But then, at that point in time, you know, I guess you guys need to decide, do you want him to come out and go through, or do you want me to modify? How much help do we want them to do with the budget? I like it when they come and do, especially those funds that exceed and are exempt, because they have their own computations that they use, and then they just have me verify their numbers, but.
With some of those budgets, you gotta be correct or something, or we could get in trouble, right, with some.
Well, it's like, the highway department kept asking every year for like $400,000 in their special machinery fund, but statutorily, their special bridge, excuse me, but statutorily, you can only put $2 million in there. So, those are the kind of things that
Yeah.
I know now, but you wouldn't know.
Yeah, I don't
anything.
know, yeah, right.
Yeah.
I'm sure I don't know much about anything.
Well, it's not easy to learn all the new stuff and then remember it for the next time a year goes by, so.
Well, we'll just push all appointments to the following week, and
Sure.
unless there's.
Yeah, let's
something
really
else
focus on the
emergency.
budget on Monday, because we can look at,
Right.
I have it right here.
Let's
We
try
can
to
look
get
at-
that solved,
Yeah.
and then we can get that going with the
Yeah.
auditor.
Any further business to come before the board? Public comment?
Yeah, kind of what Dawn said, she is the clerk, she is to record, she is not to be giving legal advice. You're putting her in a compromising situation. You should be asking your legal counsel.
Well, as I stated earlier, I've asked several things of the legal counsel that
No,
I've
I
yet to
know.
hear back from months. So unfortunately, we either need to hire counsel,
Well,
which
okay,
costs money, or, I mean, it's kind of frustrating.
but don't make a decision without legal counsel, because then you're gonna be in lawsuits. Other counties.
Well, other county attorneys attend all their meetings. I mean,
Yeah.
so, and I don't know if they're getting paid extra for that or not, and that could be something that we consider.
Depends
I
on
don't
how many
know.
hours they put in. They guarantee the legal counsel so many hours a week at a set fee, or he is a full-time.
Or at least attending meetings for a specific amount of time.
Yeah.
It would be nice at the end of the meeting, because any questions that we had that came up through the meeting could be answered. But honestly, with the counsel that we've received, I've never gotten an answer in the meeting. There's never been an answer in the meeting. So then it's always research and time lapse and losing track of the subjects and topics, and then we spent $20,000 on an attorney out of Topeka and didn't find out anything more than we already knew.
Well, then maybe you're gonna have to raise the amount of money you pay your counselor to get a counselor that will show up and is willing to take this job. because it is a complicated job.
Right. Well, if you were putting time into the commission and all of the legal things that are happening, you know, it probably is a full-time job and needs to be looked at as such in the future.
And my next question about these gravel and these roads. If you're gonna gravel just for certain people, you're opening up a can of worms. If you gravel this man's road over here,
Don't talk to us, talk to the highway department.
no, you're the one that's paying.
We don't set those priorities.
You should.
So,
No.
okay, but are you referring to the resolution about updating a road from dirt to gravel?
Yeah, if you upgrade it, now you're in a capital improvement project. You can't do that. The county, the government is obligated to pay or provide basic road service. That is the materials that are in the area. You cannot haul in gravel or materials from another area because that is a capital improvement project. They're going through this in other counties. Saline County is considering not even doing, and that was brought up, not doing this chip and seal because the cost factor's coming in. They can't get contractors to commit to a bid because the fluctuation of oil is going up. Now there goes the cost. Well, we're not going to bid on it. The contractors just flat told them in Saline County, we're not bidding on it. That was at last week's meeting.
Well, when you're talking about doing certain things for certain people, so until we change that resolution, which I've suggested many times, and we need to formally address it at some point,
You mean like
the 2000 resolution that says that we are basically going to promote any economic development, which means new homes coming into the area by graveling the road. We were supposed to look at that and revise it when it came up under the last project we did on 50th Road. So,
and now we're yields, so they want that.
right,
changed.
we have another one now. And I already said that was going to keep happening, which, in my opinion, is a beneficial investment because you're getting a new home on the tax roll. That's not going to happen very often here.
That's the same situation in Saline County. These people moved out in the county. It's not for economic development. They're building a new house out there.
No, but economic development to a county like ours is a new house on the tax roll. You're not going to get, what else are we going to get? I
It
mean,
becomes a legal issue.
Yeah, but they're putting a $300,000 house out there,
Right.
and you're getting $3,000 a year in taxes on it.
right.
That's pretty good economic
That's
development.
return
for
on
the
your
county.
investment for the gravel, is what I'm saying.
But when Alexis said we have a resolution that commissioners back in first 92 they did it, and then it was revised in 2000 that said we will, for economic developments like a business or a house, like we did that for Steve Snyder, but he has his hunting lodge up there, and that was an economic development. So part of that's one reason we gravelled that road for him.
That's the question.
And the lawsuit he threatened.
Well,
Yeah, that's what it's going to be. That's
no,
what's
but he pulled away. He was going to sue us if we didn't do it. But we did do it
You
because
didn't
of
do
it.
it out of the kindness of your heart, you did it out of threat of.
Well, I think he deserved it, actually.
Yeah,
Yeah, but that was
I
before you.
too.
We're done.
Okay. Any further?
Yeah, I still followed up on it. I was talking because you're contradicting state and federal laws.
Well, bring us the law so that we can actually read it.
Yeah,
Because-
show us.
No,
Yeah,
bring it.
I've given you the information.
Give us a code number, 48-something,
Yeah.
something. Then we'll look at it. I'm
Yeah.
serious.
There's no
we
law
did
that I know of that we're breaking by
I'm-
taking resources and moving them
And-
within the county.
And I'm not
Or
I'm not doubting you may be
Yeah.
right, but we need to look at that law before we really can address it.
Okay. I will adjourn the meeting until Thursday at 10.
Okay.
Medical.